You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Wow, this has been quite the December, and there's so many things happening. And we are very close to the season 9 finale of Ernestly Speaking. Next week, we will have our finale before we take that nice little, that break. And then we'll be back in January for season 10, the 250th episode. 250th. 5-year anniversary. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Oh my goodness. Time flies when you're having fun. But we will be back. We'll be up and running in January. It's going to be a real epic premiere. Okay. We'll be back Monday, January 12th. Okay. Midnight. Be there, be square. We'll be back. I'm going to take my nice little break, my little time, get you all geared up. There's going to be some big announcements coming. I've saved the best for last for the finale. The finale is going to end on a shaker. It's going to end on a shocker. Stand back and stand by, because this week it is going down. I know I've been teasing you. I've been taunting you all, and it's going to be epic. And I can't wait. I can't wait because it's going to be fun. It's so many. The season finale always. It's always something. I always feel like things are happening. And look at that. Look at that. So, I just, I'm full of excitement. So much. This, when you're waiting and you're anticipating and you're doing all the things, you're like sitting at the edge of your seat. You're just like, when is this going to happen? When is it going to blah, 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 and then you're like, boom. So I'm having a moment here. So we're gonna, we're in for it. We saved the best for last. So much. But without teasing you all and taunting you all and doing all those things, let's get into it. This past week, how have I been doing? Holiday party tour, wrap that up. Last week I was at the F1 Arcade. Philly Mag had their holiday party. We're now merged with the Philadelphia Citizen. It's now CMG, Citizen Media Group, which is led by none other than the David Cohen. Yes, the former Comcast executive, ambassador to the Biden administration for Canada. He is the major stakeholder in this new conglomerate, this media group that is taking place. We're no longer with MetroCorp. So Philly Mag is no longer with MetroCorp, which of course was with Boston Magazine and Philly Mag. They used to be together under the Lipston family. That's no longer the case. It's now in the new management. And so now Philadelphia Citizen with Philly Mag is now one with Citizen Media Group. That's CMG. So the official holiday party was last week at the F1 Arcade. Of course I was there. I'm a part of the Philly Mag family. Now a part of this whole group. Next January, next month, marks my 10-year anniversary with Philly Mag. I started off as the LGBTQ editor for a site that used to be called G Philly, which was like the LGBTQ channel for the magazine. Then I moved on to be a columnist, a writer at large. Then I became editor at large. And then I became now the political writer at large for the publication. So I'm still working with them in some capacity, and it's beautiful. And I'm really excited about it. It's been a moment, and here we are. So stay tuned on what's that. It was a great party. What was some of the stuff that I liked? The drinks I liked. There was a really great cocktail that they had that was called the All Access, I think it was called, which is basically a porn star, their version of the porn star daiquiri, which I do like that cocktail a lot. The food was cool. It's a vibe. I didn't really play any games. I'm not really an arcade person. Well, let me back up on that. I'm not like an F1 arcade person. Like I love a good old Miss Pac-Man. Okay, you give me Miss Pac-Man, and you gonna see me in a different element. But outside of that, it was a great vibe. Catching up with some people, seeing some faces, seeing what's going on with the Philadelphia Citizen, which is our new home. Also, later that week, went to the WRD Radio Holiday Party. They had a holiday game night at South, not South. It was called South Bowl, which is really pretty. Haven't been there in years, but it's really nice. It's pretty in there. That was a cool holiday party. It was vibes. Some big news came that day, which I'll share later on this segment. But it was a great time. Went to Rivers Casino. It was Mr. Johnson and I to the African American Chamber of Commerce's holiday soiree, which was nice. It was open bar. They probably had the best catering I've been to for a holiday party. They really did the most in a good way. They had filet mignon. They had salmon, like really good, like wild caught Atlantic salmon, like a real salmon steak. Like the salmon was like thick, not the little skin, little slithery with the little skin on it. No, no, no. This was like a full fledged salmon. Like I could have. It was a baller's party. Okay, they had some real top tier sponsors. Okay, they had TD Bank and others. They had the money. Okay, the black money was in the room. The banks was in the room. Listen. If it's gonna be about capitalism, one thing a capitalist know how to do is throw a holiday party. It was definitely a black capitalist soiree, but it was a great party. The drinks were flowing, the people were in the room, baby. It was a nice time. Black Penn Alumni Association, of course, I'm a proud Black Penn alum. They had their holiday party at where was it? It was at Booker's, and it was a nice situation, nice bar, good food, good bites. Went over there, that's my side of town. I live in Best Philly, but politically it's West Philly. But it was a good time as well. Had a great time. Y'all saw my holiday sweaters. Okay, I was rocking the holiday sweaters throughout the week, different ones. Shout out to American Eagle. They had a really great holiday sweater collection this cycle, and it was fabulous. Had a good time. My girl Charlamagne was there with her sister Jen. Always a good time to be with my faves. And, it was good to see everybody. Friday, Franklin Inn Club. I am a member of the Franklin Inn Club. Okay. It's a very exclusive private club that has very great historic roots. They don't let anyone to that club. You have to be of substance. It was founded in 1902 as a literary society, and it is one of the four, historic gentlemen's clubs in Philadelphia, and was the first to open membership for women in Philadelphia. Very prestigious, very historic. You got to be, you can't be born in, you got to be sworn in. I mean, it's a very prestigious club. And so I am proud to say that I am a member of the Franklin Inn Club. And as someone who's an author and someone who is a part of a high society of writing and literary, I had to get voted on and all the things. But now I'm a proud member. And before y'all start, yes, I'm one of the few, melanated. But we got to be in history. 102. Not 102. I'm sorry, 124 years they'll be next year. 124 years old. But, I plan to, bring some great vibes and, that I don't know if we can use the word DEI nowadays, but I hope to bring my presence and vibes and virtue. But love the club, great group so far. It was a great holiday party, some really good food, and good conversations. Some things are coming up, and I want to diversify my network even more. So it was a great holiday party. Great to see people. It's gonna be a great time. So many great parties, so much good stuff. But yeah, holidays parties was popping. So before I get into what I was eating out, because I did go out a lot to eat this past week, and it was a great run because I had my end of the year list of things I wanted to check off on. But I want to get into some things real quick. Bullying works. Non-violent bullying works. Let me clarify that. Non-violent bullying works. Okay? I just want to say that for the record. Candace made plans. We're going somewhere at the start of the new year. We have a reservation to go to a new restaurant in Philly. I will not reveal the restaurant or tell what it is and what it's giving, but it's a brand new restaurant in Philly that just opened. And yeah, this is a place that's perfect for us because I don't know if I would have ran to go to this restaurant off the top. But I'll give you all a hint. It's connected to a restaurant that I went to last week. Hint, hint. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's connected. And if you are a person that really follows the Philadelphia restaurant scene, you automatically know what I'm talking about because that was a really good hint. And you're going to go, oh, wow. Yes. Real start. I did not go to Pine Street. I've not been to Pine Street yet. If Candace wants us to go, I'll go there with her. I got to be real with you. I got to be real candid real quick. I'm not really excited about this Pine Street restaurant. I don't think the food is going to be bad. It's just that it just gives me upscale basic. And okay, I'm saying this because I'm going to get into a review about something else, and this might feel a little hypocritical. I don't think this is the new restaurant by Amanda Schulman and her lovely husband who owns My Lou. She owns Her Supper Club, who has a Michelin star. Both of them are great restaurants. I like both of those restaurants a lot, actually. But this restaurant is in a certain neighborhood of Philly. It's, you know, I'm not saying the food's bad. I don't think it's bad, but it's her and Alex Kemp, Amanda Schulman and her husband Alex Kemp. It's, Pine Street Grill. Everyone's all hyping it up. It's in Fiddler Square, the old Dimitri's. It's at 2227 Pine Street. I mean, people are going to go. I don't think the food is bad. I think the food is going to be fine. I think the food's going to be fine. I'm at a point in my personal taste of restaurants. I want to go places that are going to be saying something. I'm just tired of the upscale, casual, cozy restaurant. I don't want to go to a restaurant and pay for a burger. I really don't. I can do that at home. I can do it at a bar. Like, I'm not running to restaurants that are serving upscale, casual cuisine. I feel like I want risk. I don't know. Maybe I've gone to a lot of restaurants outside of Philly that now I'm getting a little bourgeoisie with it. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not running and I'm not waiting in line. I'm not chasing a reservation for a grandiose smash burger. Just not my speed. When the reservation, the hype calms down, I'll probably stop by. But I'm not running to eat someone's burger. I'm not running to have a hanger steak. I'm just not doing that. Been there, done that. And maybe it's my, elite, food critic in me, did that already, ran to it, chased it, covered it, took pictures of it. But I'm just not doing it in 2026. That's my New Year's resolution. I gave y'all early one. I got a couple of things I'm going to say as my New Year's resolution. But one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to play into a lot of these restaurant gimmicks. Now, listen, if it's a very high-end, grandeur, Michelin star, Steven Star, all the stars, baby. But like, I need something that's going to be a little bit more worth the wait. And I'm just not chasing these types of gimmicks. I'm not chasing tacos. I'm not chasing some cheesesteak that has some ribeye in it, some fancy ribeye from some fucking whatever. I'm not doing that. I think that's part of the reason why Philadelphia dining scene cannot be as great as it can be. It is great, but it can be so much better. And part of it is because there's always we always over glamorize and glitter neat shit. Like, and let me be very clear. We got to raise the bar, okay? If we're going to be a world-class city, let's fucking act like a world-class city. And world-class cities do not chase cutesy bars with smash burgers, hanger steaks, and some fun fries. It just does not. We don't chase fondue cheese. We just don't do that. And I think, yes, these chefs are Michelin star acclaimed, okay? Amanda Schulman went to pen together. She's great, lovely woman, lovely, wonderful, gorgeous gowns, beautiful gowns. But let's not keep making every single thing a sensation, okay? There's only so much you can do with a great burger. I'm sorry. like, so I'm not running to Pine Street Grill. Not doing it. Not doing it. I'll catch it in the spring or maybe the end of winter, but I'm not running to it unless someone already has a reservation and someone says, "Look, Ernest, I got a res. You free to come out tonight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let me go." But I'm not waiting like a Beyonce concert ticket to go there. I'm just not doing it. Especially when I want to go to Sile, I want to go to some other places in Philadelphia that I feel like is worth the wait. And all that. So just putting that full disclosure there. But long story short, breaking news, Candace has made plans. We're going. Cannot wait. Love her down. Cannot wait. And we're gonna have dinner in 2026. So we're already coming to the new year, making plans, making things happen. So Candace and I are going to do dinner like at the jump start of 2026, and I cannot wait. It will be before the podcast, so I will give you all a review of this restaurant when I return back January 12th. And I'll say that. And a couple of you all specifically heard, check your mailbox, girl. By the time you listen to this podcast, I think the day after this podcast records, what you got will be coming to you in the mail. And she knows what it is. A couple people know what it is. It's a couple people. So, move along. One thing I finally got to do is go to Oyster House for happy hour. I have not been in a long time. Their happy hour is notorious in the city. It's one of the best happy hours of all time. I haven't been in years, but I always told myself I want to go. I want to catch it early, get a good seat at the bar, and have the experience. I got the experience. Myself and my good girl, my homegirl, Kelly Frank at CBS. We had a lovely holiday catching up. We exchanged gifts. It was a fabulous time. We went to Oyster House, had a really great time there. There is a Kelly's Punch there in her name, and it was fabulous. But it was a great happy hour. Great drinks, great oysters. They have a really good oyster special. I miss the old days of a buck and chuck. But on their happy hour menu, they have an oyster that's $2, which isn't bad in this economy to have a good Oyster House oyster for $2. There used to be what happened to the $1 oysters, man? I guess this economy, this environment, we can't get those anymore. But we will shuck a $2 for an oyster and call it a day. But it was fun. Now, the two big experiences I had, two big reviews, a tale of two restaurants, and this is long overdue. Both of these are long overdue, long awaited. See, I saved the best for last because there will not really be restaurant reviews for me for the season 9 finale next week, because that's the holidays, and so there will not be one of those. But I wanted to save these two restaurants to give you the review, to give you my thoughts on both. And it's been a while, okay? The talk of the town. Everyone's been talking about this experience, and I want to talk about both of them and give you my reviews because they matter. So, let's talk about Borromini, okay? Borromini, the big, huge, blockbuster, ambitious restaurant from the legendary Steven Starr. $20 million. Lip Brothers went. We actually got to meet Steven Starr. I got to see him. That was a good time. You saw the pictures. We went. We ate. We saw. We drank. We conquered. Here is my review. Okay. I liked it. Y'all. I liked it. I actually liked it. I have to report back and say I liked it. And let me tell you, I gave y'all a preview of it. But I want to keep it 100. Pressure makes diamonds, but patience makes the heart grow fonder. And that is how I would best describe this experience. I am so happy that I went 3 months later. I'm so happy I did not bum rush and try to be the first to eat there. I'm very happy that I gave myself some time. They perfected that menu. Dishes that I heard were mediocre, that other people told me got better through time, were excellent when I went. We ate our way through that menu, the four of us. It was myself, it was Josh, it was George, it was Jamarcus. We had our little holiday gathering. We also had another one later. Well, but we, Lip Brothers, we have our little holiday soirees, our little gatherings, get-togethers. We went as a brotherhood and had the experience. We had a lot of winter experiences, but we had gift exchanges. We gave each other fun gifts. It was a good time. Let's get into this food. So let me start off with what I loved. The cocktail situation is really good. They got a nice aperitivo situation. They got Hugo Spritz. They got Aperol spritz. They have something for everyone, all types of flavors, vibes. If you're a stiff drinker, they got stuff for you for there. They customize. They got a really good bar, upstairs, downstairs. We ate upstairs. We had a cute little situation by the upstairs bar that was really nice. I like the upstairs because I feel like the upstairs is for like date nights, intimacy, really, really close friend groups. Downstairs seems to be where the family is at. It seems to be larger parties. It seems to be where that's where you have the kids. That's where you have, different groups. But I feel like the downstairs situation is where the energy is at for like family and large parties and things of that nature. Upstairs could be a large dinner party that's more intimate. I feel like lively is downstairs, intimacy is upstairs. And that's exactly what we were looking for our experience. So we was upstairs. So we didn't go downstairs, but we was upstairs. Love the cocktails down. The cocktails were definitely fun. There's a range, there's variety, there's lots to drink. The wine situation was good. We did have a good bottle of red wine that complemented the multiple courses that we had throughout the night. The wine situation was really appropriate. It's giving Rome. The architecture is stunning. Really grooved into it, felt the vibe. I did not feel like I was in Philadelphia. And I think that is part of the Steven Starr experience, that they want you to have a level of escape. That when you're in there for hours on end, you really do not feel like it transports you somewhere. And I really felt transported. I did not really feel like I was in Philly. And I really enjoyed the escape of it all. Like, you really do feel like whatever's happening outside of that restaurant does not matter because you're really in the scene in the moment. Really great hospitality. The waiters and the wait staff were very good. They're very attentive. There's a good flow there with service where I didn't feel like they were bugging me. Like, there's some times where you can feel like you're being overserved, where every single minute you blink there is a server at you. And some people like that kind of service. There are some people that every single time you turn, I don't like that. I don't like the over surveillance. It is uncomfortable. And some restaurants do that, and they think that that is what people want. I like a nice pace. You drop the food off, you put the drink down, let me enjoy it. If you want to come back real quick and see if everything's good, which I feel like it's too much, but I get it. Because some people are like that. They're like, I didn't know you liked the drink. I want to change it out. Some people are like that, which I get. I can respect that. But after that 5-minute check-in, let me breathe. Let me breathe. Let me be able to savor. And a good server will look around and notice when conversation is getting soft or when drinks are being empty. But let me rock. Let me enjoy. Don't put that pressure on me to feel like I have to, I don't know. I feel like I just like that flow. They do that well here. And I think a lot of Steven Starr restaurants I've been to, they do that well. I think that level of service, they have that to a T. And I think Starr, as a restaurateur, understands the science of that. Like, in other words, leave people the fuck alone. Trust but verify. And they just do that well. And that was what I really enjoyed about Bormini. There was a nice flow. I didn't feel like I was being rushed. I didn't feel like I was being surveilled. I just enjoyed the pace. The pacing was really good. So as far as the food goes and the bites, I'm gonna pull out my list because I had a list of different entrees and dishes that had different meanings and tastes and things, and I want to make sure I'm giving everybody, a good meaning of what this means, and in so many ways, and yeah, because the appetizers, all this stuff matters, and every bite matters, every nibble matters, every flow, and I want to make sure that I'm telling you all of that. So let me look because I took my notes. So the crudo was fine. I really liked this lentils and sausage dish that they had. That was really, really good. There was a charcuterie situation that was like the prosciutto and cheese, goat cheese, I believe it was. Really good mix of dishes. Portion sizes are meant to be shared. Nothing too heavy, but nothing too small. Really love the flow of our appetizer that we had. We had pasta, but we didn't want to get too full because we did have main entrees. That 100-layer lasagna is very good. Is it the best lasagna I had in the world? No, but it's a great steady lasagna. Really good, memorable. The sauce, the flow, nice. There was a really good crab gnocchi, blue crab gnocchi, stellar. Really loved that blue crab gnocchi situation. Was definitely very memorable. Now there was that pasta limone, which was really good. It was very simple, very basic, simple dish. But if you want that like spaghetti-esque noodly feel, that is a really good noodle. Very, very good starchy. I enjoyed that. Just a good pasta dish that really like livens the palate. Does not have any meat. Great for vegans. Great for all those involved in that. But I've really enjoyed what it did to really give vibrancy to the pasta dishes we had. It was a surprise hit for us. We had this really good oxtail ragu situation. That was good. Now, is it going to be your mama's Caribbean oxtail soup? Not necessarily, but I appreciated it. I enjoyed it. It was another surprise dish, and a lot of people in Winterboro meaning do not eat it because they, a lot of folks are not black. A lot of black folks are not going there that I've seen do reviews about. Like the reviews I've seen from the food folks are not black, so but we tried it and we appreciate it. I really liked it. That was another surprise dish. That blue crab gnocchi, get it. If you like crab, lots of flavor. The gnocchi combo, really good. The 100 layer lasagna, even though everyone and mother talks about it, it was good. I think everyone should try it. But do not think that will be the best pasta dish. There are other pasta dishes on that menu that deserve to be done. Now, I did not do the papa de capo. I was not trying to do too much pasta because pasta will get you full. But I wanted to try things that I didn't see other people have. That blue crab gnocchi, do not sleep on it. Do not sleep on that oxtail ragu situation. That was really good. Okay, I really, really like that. I really love the blue crab. I really like the lemon pasta dish as well. The lemony, garlicky flavor it's just really simple and good, and it can be something you can sleep on. But I think if you want to mix it up with your pasta tryings, it is fun. Now we also had the arancini earlier. I forgot the arancini. Shout out to arancini. You can never go wrong with the arancini. Now, to our main courses. We definitely, in the words of my good Judy Jamarcus, we definitely got fat, fool. Those dishes that we had. So I had the lamb chops because I wanted to try the lamb chops. Succulent, delicious, went really well with the other side dishes that we had. Jamarcus got the branzino. Josh got the Borco, the Brasco Borco Oco. I'm mispronouncing this, but he got that really good veal dish. George got this rabbit dish with the potatoes and everything. That was really good. It had a nice stewy taste to it. Very good. Very, very good. We cleared our plates. Meaty, full, just great flavor. Dessert, we had the tiramisu. The tiramisu was really good. We had another great dish. We had the tiramisu. We had this really good chocolate cake that was like I think I had like a sea salt caramel situation with this really nice cream sauce. Really good. Really, really good. That was a very good, memorable dessert. And there was a sorbet that went with it that we also had that was really good. But the desserts were really good. Very strong dessert menu. Sometimes pastry chefs at certain places, don't do right by people, but I was thoroughly impressed with the dessert. Overall, liked everything. I would give it a 8 out of 10. I think overall, and I'm only saying that, and I say 8 out of 10 because I want to be clear about the expectations, right? This is not a restaurant you should go in trying to judge it like a Michelin star. It was a chocolate olive oil cake. Oh, that was good. Where the tiramisu and the chocolate olive oil cake, that was a chocolate ganache with a candied orange and an olive oil gelato. That's what it was. That was very good. Very, very good. And then I will tell you the other names of dishes if you're taking notes, because I know some of you are like, sometimes you all, which I appreciate. We had also this pain faux cha. That was good. It was a rosemary with sea salt. We did not do the squash blossoms. too much going on. Not that it was bad. The crudo was good. It was amici with the Meyer lemon and olive oil. That was really good. We did the prosciutto de Parma, which was a really good situation. The arancini was a saffron rice. They had the fontina and the mozzarella and green peas, which gave it a nice little pop. The pasta dishes that we had was the spaghetti al limone, which is really good. The blue crab gnocchi. The oxtail malfadine, which had a braised ragu, oxtail ragu, which was stellar. We had the 100-layer pasta. The 100-layer lasagna, which was also good. And there was something else that we had. Spaghetti de limone, the 100-layer, the blue crab gnocchi, oxtail. Yeah, that's the 4 pastas we had. So, okay, the main course dishes. We had, George had the rabbit calistatore, which was with olives, bell peppers, tomato. The osso buco de vitito, that was the braised veal shank with the risotto. That is what Josh had. I wanted to do the braised duck confit, but I said, Ernest, you always get that duck. Leave it alone. Get something different, bitch. So I had the lamb scazziatito. That was the grilled lamb chops with the salsa verde and the crispy potatoes. Cannot go wrong. And what did my bestie get? What did my other bestie get? The grilled branzino. He had that. That had the Tuscan kale, the gigante beans, the semi-sec tomato vinaigrettes. Yes. The escargot and beans, can never go wrong with that. It's a great Italian side dish. If you was interested in a side dish, that's pretty good. The rapini is the broccoli ribeye, the rabbi. That's pretty good. Can't go wrong with that either for side dishes. So overall, I thought it was a good restaurant. This is going to be a great date night. This is great for besties who are picky eaters. There is something for everybody on this damn menu. Overall, good restaurant. Good restaurant. James Beard, I don't know. I don't know if it's giving James Beard. I don't think we should have that conversation. I think this is a restaurant for the masses. It's going to do good. He has another hit on his sleeves. This is the type of restaurant that has the potential that maybe could be the next big Philly gem. I think restaurants like this, we are having the wrong conversations. I think people really want this to be a conversation that's like James Beard and Michelin star. I don't think that's the right restaurant conversation to have for this. I mean, maybe it could be a bib gourmand at a certain point. It could be considered, it could probably be a bib gourmand down the road. But it's okay. It's okay not to be those things. Like certain restaurants you go to for the comfort, for the feel. Will it ever be that kind of conversation? Not necessarily. That's how I feel about Rex of the Royal. I think that's how I feel. Like there are restaurants like that I feel like that's not what this is. But this is still great. It is worthy to go to. It's worthy to go to multiple times throughout the year. The funny part is I can find myself going to Borromini more than some of these other restaurants that I love. I think I go to Rex of the Royal more than any restaurant in Philadelphia. Is it the best restaurant I've ever been to in Philadelphia? No. But it do what it needs to be done. And I love the comfort and how it makes me feel. And I think that's what Borromini does. And it's going to be a favorite for a lot of people. A lot of folks are going to say this is their favorite restaurant. And I can understand why. It's not my favorite restaurant, but it is a restaurant that I know that because of the type of friends that I go out with that are basic, they're going to go, I'm not saying my friends are basic, but you know what I mean. Like I can see my younger brother going on a date night. He is single right now, ladies. But I can see him taking someone here and having a good time. I feel like the dishes are well priced. I didn't feel like things were overpriced there. I think the cocktails are reasonably priced. I think the vibe is. I don't think it's super expensive at all. And I think that they know what they're doing. They know who they are. And they deserve it. And I think for a Rittenhouse restaurant, it's going to be great. They know their people. They know their tribe. And you're going to go. And I don't think anyone can walk out that restaurant and call it horrible. And all the people that's giving it these like bad reviews, I don't know. I think that people are just, I don't know, everyone wants to be a food critic nowadays without the expertise. I think the problem is that, like even movies, right? I think some people want to be a movie critic without understanding what a movie critic does, right? You understand the lane, you understand the positioning, and you judge accordingly. Too many people, I feel like, are not reading the room correctly, and they're just making the wrong judgments. So, by all means, respectfully, this is a solid restaurant. It's a good restaurant. I think everyone should go to it. I think for that indecisive friend that don't know where to land, for that person that, is picky, this is great for them. For large settings where you want everyone to be able to come at a reasonable rate, at a reasonable price, it's great. It is not Maggiano's. Okay, let me just be very clear. This is not Maggiano's. Like, people have made comparisons to Maggiano's, other places like that. This is not that. This is honestly a little step down from Sakala. And somebody's going to say, Ernest, I am going to say it. This is a little step down from Sakala. It's in the same type of ballpark. It's not, Sakala's is better, clearly, but it is not that far from it. So in other words, if you were on a budget and you wanted to have Sakala, but you did not want to spend as much money, but you wanted to feel something close to it, go here. And let me say this. I'll give you another example. Apricot Stone. Love Apricot Stone. Apricot Stone is a great restaurant. Love it down. But people never consider it for James Beard Awards. People never consider it for those other awards. But another restaurant that I will go to maybe 3 times a year. It's a great BYOB, one of my favorite BYOBs. But a lot of people don't give Apricot Stone their flowers. Love it down. Let me tell you something right now. If you don't feel like spending any crazy money on balling as a hive or at Laser Wolf, take your ass down to Apricot Stone. I promise you, you can close your eyes and you probably won't know the difference that much. People might call that shade, but I'm going to keep it 1,000 with you. Love Michael Salmanov. Great restaurant, top tier, all the things, baby. But let me tell you something right now. If you are in a bind, if you are on a budget and you want to take a couple friends out and y'all not trying to spend hundreds of dollars at a restaurant, baby, go to Apricot Stone. You're going to get that feel. That little fix that you want, you're going to get that fix. That's how this restaurant feels. If you don't got time to go to Sakala, I'm not going to say Irwin's. I'm not going to play with Irwin's like that. I'm not going to play with Irwin's. Irwin's is a little bit, is definitely up above that, okay? So I'm not even going to play Irwin's like that because Irwin's is in its own league. So we're not going to play with Irwin's like that. But Sakala, I could play with Sakala like that. Borromini, if you don't feel like going to Sakala or you don't got the time to spend that kind of money, let me say this. If this is your first date for your boo and you are under the age of 40, go to Borromini. If you are a baller and you're over the age of 40, you should be taking her or him or they to Sakala. Now, Irwin's is for married folks in serious long-term relationships. I think that's why I'm going to start putting these restaurants on the rank. Where do I rank these restaurants in terms of first try and rankings? First of all, we don't take anyone to a bad restaurant, okay? So let's just start there. But let me tell you where your head should be at if you should go to Borromini. Borromini goes into several categories. It's a cute first date if you're under 35. Go there on a cute first date. Take them there. If you're on a budget, you're not a baller, take them there for a cute first date. Now, if you are a couple and you're married and you really just want to pig out and you really just want to keep it cute and you really not trying to do the most and you know this person, y'all in love and it's on anniversary situation and y'all just want to go out to eat, but y'all want to go somewhere fun and just be cute and just don't want to cook, this is a good restaurant for you, okay? This is for the cute upscale couples that are like my husband and I were. It's like, you know what? We really should be cooking in the kitchen. We don't really want to cook. We don't want to spend too much money, but we really just want to go out and we know it's going to be an easy res to go. We would go to Borromini. You get what I'm saying here? You picking on putting down. If you're making an anniversary proposal and you are over the age of 40 and you got money, this is not a place to make a proposal. If you're my brother who's 22 and you want to go on a first date night, this is where you can go. So he would definitely, I would tell him in a heartbeat, take her to Borromini, okay? Take her to Borromini. Now, if it's getting a little serious and y'all want to make an anniversary, okay, go to Sakala, because he's 22. We gonna act our wage. If y'all been in a relationship for about 3 years and you want to propose them, go to Irwin's then. Okay, it's a range though, because sometimes, listen, I don't know what's going on in this dating pool for people, but people out here spending their arm and a leg. But I just want to put that there. Moving along. Royal Sushi Izakaya, the 8C Amakasi, Jesse Itu. We went. We went. I mean, y'all know what it is, baby. It's a 10-10, baby. It is incredible. The hype is real. We knew this already. It's for ballers, baby. Ballers. It's hard to get. It's the hardest reservation to get. That Omakase is the hardest reservation to get in Philadelphia. Waited for a long time to have it with Mr. Johnson. Listen, legendary things, okay? Legendary things. It was worth it. I don't even tell you what was there. All I can tell you is if you can get in there. That Omakase is $352 per person. Okay? It is $352 per person. And the service charge and all that is included. You have to prepay, okay? Which is only 8 seats. They got one at 6. They got one at 8:15. We went to the one at 6 p.m. We early birds. We went to the one at 6 p.m. It is 8 seats, baby. He do this Tuesday through Saturday. Okay? It is $352 per person. Okay? Per person. It is a experience unlike anything else. It is 17 courses. It is the best sushi I have had in my life. The best sushi I've ever had in my life. I don't know any other way. I don't. What he is doing in there, y'all saw those pictures. Y'all saw my review. It is stellar. It is the best thing. It is, I think I got to put in the top. I don't know. It might crack in that top 5 out of all time. Definitely the top. I don't know. Maybe it's sitting pretty at number 6. I don't know. It's in the top 10 of all time, baby. Top 7. I don't know if it cracks that top 5. I don't know. But God damn it, if he would have allowed Mitchell to come in there, I think it would have got 2 stars. But it's too small. That's what it is. They got to have it got to be a full-fledged restaurant. People can't get in that bitch. But it is incredible. It is sensational. Sensational. Every Hollywood actor, I won't tell you. But everybody in there got money. It's 8 seats. Mr. Johnson, I was in there with some ballers in there, some serious. It is hot. The reason why nobody can go in there because every Hollywood actor that comes down here, go there. Everybody, mama. It is a serious experience. $350 per person. You got to pay up front. Okay? And people pay. You don't even go there by yourself. You dropping over $700 up front when you make the reservation. It is ballers only. This is a splurge. This is serious. This is for people that have been in a relationship for over me and Mr. Listen, I wouldn't go with anybody else but him. Okay, we 11 years strong. We'll be 12 years in February. This is serious. That's destination money. Top tier. Highly recommended. So definitely want to name that. It was worth the hype. It was worth every penny. It is the best. It is everything. I just gotta praise it. So, in some other big media news, because I know how y'all love the news, okay? I got some other big news I want to share. I mean, some of y'all might be like, of course, Ernest, but men lie, women lie, numbers don't. The news is in. On the Record with Ernest Owens is the #1 downloaded show on Word of 2025. It has the top post-show listenership of the year. It is the highest streaming Word show on SoundCloud. It is pretty much the hottest, the #1 show on Word Radio. Okay? Now, this is in terms of numbers, streams, downloads, figures. This is data-driven. This is not, I'm not saying, listen, I didn't say it. Y'all said it. Every listen, every week. This show has only had about 13, 14 episodes thus far. We made a premiere in mid-September, and it is taking off. It is a weekly show, okay? 96.1 FM 900 AM Progressive Black Talk Media, WRD Radio. Okay? We came in the midst of chaos, hateration. Y'all know the story. Y'all already know the episode. Y'all already know what I went through. To come with this show, I got to thank the haters. I got to thank the barriers. I got to thank the people, because this would have never even happened had it not been some bullshit with me hosting City Council Live in the midst of it. So I got to thank Vincent Thompson. I got to thank Council President Kenyatta Johnson at City Council. I got to thank the haters, the people who wanted to thrust me out that show and give me a hard time and put me in a position where being on that show was inhabitable and unlivable. I got to thank the haters. I got to thank them. Thank you for pushing me out of my comfort zone, putting me in a situation where I didn't know what was going to be next for myself, and giving me an opportunity to have a show like this, which is what I should have always had. Thank you for that. Thank you to every listener, to every downloader, to every streamer, to every subscriber. We turned lemons into lemonade. We made this into a lavender lemonade. We made this something that was a beautiful thing. This could have been a burden that turned into a blessing. And I'm so grateful that this happened. It was an unexpected thing. If you would have asked me a year ago that this would have been my experience, my reality, I would have never imagined it. Every guest that's come on the show, everybody, in spite of all of the barriers and the bullshit behind the scenes, all of this worked out in a way that now we're going to come back in 2026 bigger than ever. The show's been renewed. This was supposed to be an experiment, a test. It's no longer a test, baby. We're here. There's going to be more episodes. We're going throughout. We're going to have a show next Sunday. Y'all saw who was my special guest this week and what was going on. We got these big special guests. We're going to talk more about that later in the podcast. But we're strong. We're doing it. We got some major moments coming up. Because of the hype of this show, it's opened up new doors for other people that want to come on this show that wasn't even thinking about this show, thought that this wasn't going to be. But look what has happened. So I got to thank you all for that. I really do. I really want to thank you all for just the love, the support that you all have given this show and has continued to give me. And I just want to thank you. So I want to just say that. Also, I was on Piers Morgan Uncensored. They had a really great holidays end of the year show. There was some interesting special guests, as you all saw. That guy from Uganda, who's like that host of this show in Uganda, what are you gay? That guy, he was on the show. The Pope's brother was on the show. Yes, the Pope, Pope Leo. His brother was a special guest on the episode. Like, it was a wild ass show. I was on there with, of course, Esther, which I always call her Candace Owens Jr. A couple other great, Neurotic was on there from YouTube. It was a really fun episode. I am coming back on Piers Morgan Uncensored in 2026. You know, I'm one of the original baddies, okay? I was one of the first, contributors to come on there. We have been doing this for a minute. We're going to be 3 years strong next March. I've been on Piers Morgan Uncensored for the last 3 years. The show was a hit on YouTube because of people like you and others that listen to it. Listen, baby, we doing it big. We doing it big. I came there in the midst of me launching my debut book, my first book, not my last, first book, The Case for Cancel Culture. And ever since then, we've been on the show rocking. And there's going to be more to come with that. So I just want to put that out there. Want to talk about this before we get into hot topics, because there's a lot that we got to catch up on before we rock out. But I want to also mention that I had a little local viral moment this past week. Y'all saw the video. I normally don't do reels or videos, but y'all convinced me that y'all want to see more of my face on camera. But I don't really do the reels like that. But I will say this required it, because somebody saw me at the Save the City event. That is what the Philly event Mayor Sherelle Parker did at, and we're going to talk about that experience later on the show. But when someone saw me there and was like looking at my face, and it was almost like a backhanded compliment, but I didn't get it. But they were like, "Oh my goodness, you have such nice skin," And I was like, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. I try to put in work, And I'm talking, and they just like, "Oh, you keep a nice beat." I was like, "Beat?" They say, well, you gotta, you can't be gatekeeping, your secrets. Okay, what you mean? What? Oh, your concealer, your foundation. Like, what's the makeup line? What's the line? I said, oh no, honey, there's no makeup. No, 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 there's no makeup. Like, smack their lips. I said, wait, no, I don't wear makeup. And it's like, stop lying. So I literally did the thing that y'all saw. I literally got, well, I should have did this on camera, but I did it. But I keep me some kind of nail wipes. I got a wipe out of my Telfeezy, got the wipe, put it all on my face. I was a little annoyed because I had my moisturizer on, but I was all good. And I said, and I put the cloth right there. Nothing, baby. Nothing. She gagged. She gagged. I said, you could touch it. I let you, because she had clean hands. I said, you could touch it a little bit, rub it. She said, oh my God, it's so soft. Now, y'all can't be touching my face. Like, y'all not touching black women's skin, hair. Y'all not touching this brother's melanin. Y'all not going to touch my skin. But I let her do it. Just her, because she's decent. Her hands were clean. But I was just like, baby, this is what y'all been doing. Y'all, see, this is what y'all do. When y'all see a bad bitch, y'all just be hating. Y'all always be ready to say something. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No makeup. No, 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 no. No concealer, baby. No, none of that. No, this is what I told y'all what the regimen is. Now, Dr. Parks, she gonna have her mouth. She gonna say genetics. Yes, genetics too. But also maintenance and melanin. Now, some of y'all who listen to this podcast, my good girl Alana, she know. Alana, my good Judy Alana be knowing. Because Alana be knowing. So Alana was like, I don't know why they play with you like this. I'm like, I don't know why they play with me like this either, sis. Because I don't get why they play with me like this. Because I swear every time I tell people, what's going on. I tell people what's going on with my regimen. And yet people will try to play me like they don't know what's up. So, yeah. It's good skincare. So, I'm going to say this. I don't got to say this here, but I just know y'all saw the video. And I love how y'all got in the comments and reminded the girls and y'all was kikiing with me. It was a moment in time. We kiki together. So, it was fun. So, more to come on that. More vibes on that as we progress in the season. Because that was just a moment for me where I just had to go, what? Where? Like, huh? Like, where? But common sense is not always common. Now, to my, just, so let me back up real quick, because new listeners might be listening. Let me put it on game. For now, if you have not had a good skincare regimen, let me just tell you what you need to have. Always and forever, a good face wash, okay? We use a good face cleanser. We then have a great toner. We love a good toner for the skin. You need to have a good toner to get rid of any of that soap residue and anything else. We also then have a good serum. Serum is a really good way to restore moisture and provide nutrients, essential nutrients to the skin. Don't confuse serum with moisturizer. That is a separate step. Moisturizer is what's next. A good moisturizer. I did not say lotion, okay? I did not say oil. I said moisturizer. It's very specific. That actually improves the skin barrier and all those things. And then sunscreen. If you go outside, sunscreen, because you need to make sure you lock in your moisture and also prevent and protect yourself from harmful rays and elements. That's very important as well. So let's break down the steps again. Cleanser, okay? A good cleanser. We love a good cleanser. We love a good toner. Then we love a good serum. We love a good moisturizer and sunscreen. That's a 5-step process. You need to have all those products. Now, once you start doing that for a good 90 days and you got a good regimen going, I would incorporate oil cleansing before washing. Don't do that first. Some of you all try to ease that into the process, but don't just go in with oil cleansing all the time unless you already do that. But if you don't do that, now if you are someone who wears makeup, then oil cleansing is to be already in your regimen to get that makeup off and that debris. But everybody else, you don't have to do oil cleansing all the time. But if you want to incorporate oil cleansing, if you have non-oily skin, I recommend it. Now, outside of that, I would say quarterly facials. Do some really good, deep cleansing facials. Don't do the surface level shit, okay? I'm talking about a really good deep cleansing, deep in the skin, microdermabrasion, if you can do that. Microneedle, that's not facials, but like dermabrasion, all the things. Like get a really good deep cleansing facial. Go to a pro, spend some good money. Don't get one of these little cheap little peels and things like that. I mean, you could do that at home if you want to, little sheet mask at home, but that's not a facial, y'all. Like get a real good deep cleanse. It's gonna cost you some money. If you're getting a facial that is under $100 that isn't on sale, that's not good enough. I'm just gonna tell you right now, a really good deep cleansing facial should run you over $100, even more. But I always say the one I get currently is over 150. But listen, budgets are budgets. But I think if you go somewhere and there's a facial and they give you, if they're doing something that's $65 or under $100, I don't recommend that. That's surface level shit. That's just a deep face clean. It's not real. Get you a really good one that's gonna run you some money. It's gonna be over $100. Over $100 easily. It's an investment, y'all. But you don't do that every time. You do it quarterly. You do it every time a new season turns over. So in January, I will be going to my girl Ask Alish. I think my facial from her is over like $175, but it is a good one, okay? It's a serious investment, but you should do that for cell renewal and seasonal turnaround. You should always do it because you want to make sure that your skin has a new slate for the elements every time your skin goes through renewal. And also be willing to change your products throughout the year. Heavier creams and moisturizers in the winter, deep moisturize in the winter. You start to use a lighter moisturizer for the summer, right? Calendula oils, different types of facial wash that is lighter, different types of ingredients. But read into that though. Do some research on what your skin is. I don't know what your skin type is, so everybody's skin barrier is very different, but do some research. Kiehl's is my favorite go-to brand because they have some for everybody's skin types. So I recommend if you can go to a store, a Kiehl's storefront, talk to the dermatologist and the skincare expert there. Talk to your dermatologist if you have one to figure out what products work for you so you can avoid wasting money and wasting product, okay? Big ones. And then other than that, good hydration, have good sex. If you are single, masturbate. Make sure that you ejaculate. That helps with stress, cortisol levels, hormonal levels, all those things. Just make sure that you're having good sex, that you're, or great, experience. If you're single, pleasure yourself, but enjoy your life. Have good joy. Release stress as much as possible. I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink coffee. Stay away from coffee. I know that's hard for some of you all, but if you're not, then make sure you definitely re-up on that facial. Stay out of the sun as much as possible, even with sunscreen if you can. Use good quality skincare products, okay? Don't do no 3-in-1, 2-in-1 products. That's trash. Avoid crazy razors. Use clippers. If you're a man with shaving, do not use razors on the skin. Avoid that. Hydration is important. Sleep is very important. And tell the truth. Be honest. Honesty helps. When you're lying all the time, it takes a lot to lie. Even when you're lying with your mouth, your facial expression, all the drama, it's going to add wrinkles. So don't lie as much. Be very honest and be very truth-telling. Those are the things I've done to keep and maintain my beautiful skin. Next to genetics, because Dr. Parker is going to remind me of that. But other than that, yeah. And then lastly, before I conclude, before I get to hot topics, I would highly recommend, and I want to tell people this is very important, make sure that you are standing back and standing by for some big announcements coming over here in my world. I have a lot of big announcements coming up the pipeline. There is going to be a major announcement coming very soon. It should hopefully be. I've been teasing y'all, but just stand back and stand by. Something really big is coming. I am pretty much very, very close to it, and I want y'all to be on the edge of y'all seat. So just, some of y'all might already have a guess what it is. If you do, y'all know, but you're gonna get all the answers, all the details. It's gonna be major. I'm gonna be able to really gush out all of the details of what's about to happen, but it's gonna be epic and it's gonna be super exciting, and it's gonna be we're gonna be rolling. We come in hard. It's gonna be a hard launch of everything. So just stay tuned and let's get into hot topics. So every time I think that Trump cannot outdo his own chaos, I underestimate myself. I completely, utterly find myself going, I'm not going to place any bets on the delusion, the unhingedness. I mean, I feel like after January 6th, I should have just stopped. The grabber by the pussy controversy. He was able to bounce back from that. He was able to bring women who accused Bill Clinton, Freudian slip, Bill Clinton of misconduct, sexual misconduct, to a debate to taunt his wife, who he was running against Hillary Clinton in 2016. Like, this man opened up and kicked off his campaign by accusing Mexicans of being rapists, was able to jump through the hurdles of a primary, secure the nomination. And I'm not even, I mean, this is like the most speedy cliff notes of just his campaign drama. We can then go past the entire first term, recommending people drink bleach, COVID, the fumble of that. I mean, he couldn't even keep his first vice president. Insurrection, that telling his supporters is literally calling for the hanging of his previous VP. His new VP used to talk shit about him. And here we are at the end of 2025, ducking and dodging convictions, indictments, accusations. He comes back to the White House, and here we are. Epstein files, which have been slightly released, 10%? Most of the shit is redacted. I could go on to all the details, but what's the point? I mean, 119-page grand jury indictment redacted, legal problems up the wazoo, threats of lawsuits and legal implications because most of the files apparently have not been released, which violates what was supposed to happen. Friday was the deadline. The Trump administration, the DOJ specifically, Pam Bondi, who's over DOJ, the Department of Justice, is basically obstructing justice in so many ways. I mean, it's a shit show. Everyone's acting like these Epstein files are supposed to be this big, huge, major breakthrough. I literally had a conversation with one of my close friends in Philly who is a politician. And, we went back and forth about the Epstein files over the weekend. They were on this side of saying like, oh, this is a big deal. People were asking former Vice President Kamala Harris, I guess there was an interview she did on late night where they was saying, why didn't, she, propose, take over this and get into this. And she gave a nothing burger sandwich of a statement, which, to be honest, there's so much of this back and forth about what she could have, should have did. And listen, where I stand on it, I just feel like legally, she was right. I don't think that the DOJ should be weaponized for personal political disputes by any administration. At the same time, I get how that's exhausting because someone could argue that a lot of the Trump investigations pertaining to January 6th was politically driven, to the point where some people call it a witch hunt, whatever, manhunt, whatever. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I hear folks that said that they felt like a lot of the way in which there was this hyper fixation on both Hunter Biden because they were trying to play fair, both sides. All of that was that was some level of political bias, right? But all that being said, At the end of the day, I don't think these stunts really matter. I think the economy matters. People want their money. If we want to talk about shoulda, woulda, coulda pertaining to the Biden administration, honestly, he should have dropped them student loans. I'm serious. I have a theory, and look, a lot of people argue that, the student loans would have never made that massive input or impact because a lot of people do not go to college, and the only people that are being impacted by the loans and the debt are the people who have the degrees. Bullshit. Not true. I'm going to make this make sense. I don't like to get into the woulda, shoulda, couldas of election 2024. I know people don't want to go into it, but I'll just say to myself, if there was a case to be made, my theory is, because everyone's like, oh, well, if they would have taken a particular stance on Palestine, that would have changed the election. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that is a very niche, very East Coast, West Coast, coastal mindset on this. Most of the Midwest, most of the South do not care. I'm not saying that they shouldn't care. I'm just saying that largely they don't care. As someone who grew up in Texas, as someone who still keeps in touch with different people across the country, I was born in Chicago. I have family that live in Michigan, in Detroit, in the Midwest, in these different parts. Now, someone would say, well, what about Michigan? Because there was, a Muslim population and individuals that did care about in Michigan. That is true. But largely, most of the country do not care about this issue enough to withhold their vote on a grand scale. I don't think that whether Harris would have taken a particular position on Palestine, that would have changed the election that much. I think that would have taken away some of the political infighting within the Democratic Party, but I don't think that would have moved the needle. Foreign affairs in that type of way, especially without there being a U.S. war per se, does not really move the needle as much. I don't think her position would have changed because in one way, while she would have gained some voters, she would have arguably lost some voters. There would have been some donor backlash that would have hurt campaign operations. Like there's so many pieces that I just don't think that was the reason. I can't see it. I hear people make these little arguments about what they assume young voters do and what they don't do. But no, voter apathy wasn't driven by Palestine. I think there's some people that are hyper focused on that issue, and I understand it. But I also want to clarify that the goalpost consistently gets moved when it comes to Black candidates, specifically Black women candidates on this issue that is disproportionate from other candidates. I don't see the smoke for Trump. I don't see the smoke for Trump on this. Like, no one's giving Trump any type of critique, demands. People are still giving Kamala Harris hell, even though she's no longer in office. But there are current people in office, and I just kind of feel like, is it about, why is there an obsession on dragging powerless or basically powerless individuals who lack the political influence currently on this issue? Why is there a coordinated effort to continue to protest them when they're currently not in office? And I remember there were people that were arguing that was saying that the momentum was going to continue on this issue regardless of who was in office. That was a lie. There was more smoke for Harris and Biden last year than there has been for Trump on this issue. Like Pennsylvania, he came to Pennsylvania. No one wanted to organize and mobilize on that, or did y'all move on to the next issue? It's performative. It really is performative. It's really performative, and I'm not going to act like it isn't. And the fact that now Jasmine Crockett is getting all of these questions and all this critique about her vote as a congressperson, but you got several senators and other people who have voted for different things. I don't see that level of intense backlash, support to primary certain people. I don't hear it. And so I just find it to be a very biased, misguided chess piece. And this is exactly why certain communities did not get fully in coalition with certain activists on this issue, because it is a lot of anti-Blackness and misogynoir directed. Are elected officials, should they be critiqued on their voting patterns and whatnot? Sure, absolutely. Like, that's not, I get that. But I think it's interesting that there's a disproportionate amount of criticism and anger and attempts to unseat Black candidates, or particular Black candidates, on this issue compared to those who have more influence, more power, more to do. I just find interesting that there was so much energy to resist Trump on reproductive rights, but there's no energy whatsoever to resist Trump or critique Trump on this issue around Palestine and what's going on in Gaza. Like, it's almost like no one's talking about it anymore. Like, isn't people still dying? Like, it's just a very disingenuous movement right now that it feels as though it's not really about policy, but more so that the issue's being weaponized to disrupt the democratic status quo, to push in democratic socialism, to push in different liberal politics. But you're now weaponizing an actual crisis. And some people call it a genocide, right? But you're weaponizing this for internal political shifts rather than actual aid and support for the individuals impacted there. And I begin to ask the question, where is the focus for those individuals, not just weaponizing it for internal domestic American politics? There's something off, very off, and I don't trust it. I don't trust these individuals at large. Am I compassionate about the issue? Absolutely. Do I have conversations with elected officials that I know about the issue? Absolutely. Am I looking into it and doing my research and thinking about it? Absolutely. But what I'm not doing is playing into this performative shit online where I'm seeing a cherry picking of misguided or very disproportionate directed accountability aimed at largely Black politicians, when we see a entire far right movement that does not care about Palestinian people, don't care about Black people, don't care about women, don't care about LGBTQI people. And by and large, the very people that are wasting their energy and resources going after Kamala Harris at this point, when there's so many other people that are currently in office that are really doing direct impact and harm, much more expansive and detrimental than any vote that Jasmine Crockett could have made by herself. I find hypocrisy in that. And it's anti-Black as fuck. And if you will be anti-Black with this, you definitely are not giving a damn about the Palestinian people as much as you claim to do. Because if you were, you would be more strategic in how you're leveraging political power to actually get as much justice as possible and resources for the individuals impacted in Gaza. And I don't see that with certain folks. Largely a lot of these white liberals who basically pick any cause that they care about temporarily, hijack rhetoric, talking points, and really divide marginalized communities against each other so they can take the attention off of their white apathy on other issues that's more important in their respective communities. And I just find it interesting that there's an obsession with international foreign affairs in ways that do not mirror that in the domestic. And I've said this before on previous podcast episodes, but I just have to name it. It's a lot of flippant, immature, reckless talk. And very lazy, wannabe, snappy attitudes about an issue that these individuals are just reacting to, but don't really walk that walk. Look at Chappell Ronan. Chappell Ronan spent all of the previous year having all this to say about Democrats and Palestine, and now she's taking brand endorsement deals with multi-million-dollar companies and corporations that are on the boycott list that is supposed to be fueling pro-Israel politics and government that is harming those individuals, right? I mean, listen, Chappell decided to hold herself to a standard that was really critical, far and wide, towards Kamala Harris around this issue. And now here she is, a year later, aligning herself in companies and corporations that are largely playing a corporate role in funding the very um, in humanitarian crisis that she seems to be arguably passionate about, right? So this is the bullshit. And she slides, right? She'll go to the Grammys and she's got her nomination for her song and she's got her makeup and she's back at it, right? With this company, Mac. Mac, I mean, you can go Google and look up Mac's complicity with this. But again, she held herself to a standard that she couldn't uphold. But she had so much mouth for everyone else, right? And about how passionate she is and on TikTok with just pouring out and acting like, this, but she's got family members. Listen, the hypocrisy is real. I've heard enough. White liberals in this current era or moving forward, you don't move me. You don't rock me. I don't trust your political judgments because they're disproportionately always antagonistic to Black people, specifically Black women and Black queer voices. It's performative as fuck. It's often driven, like I said, to provoke a level of a false sense of a superiority complex over communities to which you're complicit in harming, directly or indirectly, subconsciously or unconsciously, or consciously, I would guess. But it's routine. Been here, seen this before, know how this goes. Been there, done that. And so I don't think that the Palestinian issue, by and large, was going to shake the table. I think student loans would have been a major part. Let me get to that. If Biden would have dropped the student loan debt situation, if he really would have answered that prayer, because a lot of people's on the fence, right? If he really would have seriously made a massive, wider cut of student loans across various circumstances, what that would have done was that would have helped the economy. A lot of people would have had more money to spend. There would have been availability to open up a lot of debt, like loosen that debt, right? And if people don't have debt and they have more money, what are they going to do with that money? They're going to spend that money, which would have fueled the economy, which would have done more wonders. And here's the thing, right? When people make this argument that relieving student debt only helps the educated people, bullshit. Because here's why. Here's why I made that noise. When you think about supporting a working class to middle class pipeline, specifically with first generation college students, Black and brown communities, those college educated individuals are breadwinners in their families, in their intermediate families, not just in a nuclear family, right? Not just talking about a husband, a wife, children. I'm talking about this is the person who has money to bail out their cousin. They have money to loan to their brother. They have money to help their parents with pharmaceutical drugs and housing. They have money to help with birthday parties and family getaway trips. They have money to support a sports team for the fraternity brothers' kids. They have money to donate to nonprofits. They have money to give to charities. They have money that stretches beyond their own personal life. I cannot tell you how many college-educated Black men and women that I went to college with that are in my fraternity, that's in my social circles, that their money is not only their money is helping their family members who are not as fortunate as them, is not as educated as them. Their money is supporting communities that are near and dear to them. Their money is helping to support mutual aid in communities that are also dear to them. That money stretches. And so when you take off the burden of student debt for a lot of lower income communities or people who are first generation college students, that money opens up opportunity to help keep a family member from making a bad decision. It helps somebody with a temporary debt that they might have, helps bring someone's light bills up in the family, helps a cousin be able to get shoes, a new pair of shoes for somebody that's about to start a new job. You just don't really understand that this narrative, and I have to get Tommy Lauren together about this, that when she was talking her shit about those government jobs that got cut during Doge and was saying, oh, that those are DEI jobs and those government, that's the bougie, upscale, elite, political elite class. I said, honey, those jobs, darling, are jobs that are good paying jobs that are going to impact families. Families. And this is why I feel like they're not relatable. Do anyone that you know, whether they're in college or not, they have a good paying job, isn't helping family members? When my younger brother was in college at Temple, he worked summer internship jobs and things, but he would cash at me like every other week for haircuts and things like that. Did he have some money? Yes. But he also, wanted to, have a cushion. The money that I made, if he needed a haircut, if at the last minute he wanted to get some other things, a birthday party comes up, or, he wants a new suit for a job interview, money that I made helps, right? My husband has a brother who isn't college educated, and his brother was in between jobs. He has a job now, but needed to get the first month, get a transportation pass, a PACTO pass, whatever, PACO pass to travel back and forth. My mother-in-law is on disability. My husband could get that pass for him for a month so he can get settled and get into his job for my brother-in-law. Like that's that money. But someone will look at us and say, oh, you are college educated, you all have money. They would think our money is only in our household. No, that money goes to various other things, I have fraternity brothers who have kids who play sports and do various things. They got popcorn things, little tournaments and competitions. And, it's not like the city of Philadelphia is supporting these kids to stay off the streets and play sports. They're not doing as much as they could to support these junior leagues and things like that. But who's helping those teams go to the finals and those championships? People like me who got a little bit of extra money to just say, here's $100 for this. So we don't talk about how that money changes the game for so many people that I know who got immense student debt, that money they have to pay every month is money that if they were freed up on that could have done more. So if Biden really would have got serious, and I know there was some Supreme Court stuff. I know there was talks about the Supreme Court reversing things, and there were those moments, but there would have been some serious decisions, but there could have been some serious maneuvering to really put a dent into some of these loans, some of these debts. Who knows? Because let me tell you something. It was the economy. Largely was the economy that played a major role in it. It definitely did. It wasn't the only reason why, but it did. So I digress a little bit, but I felt like that was important to mention. But when people are talking about these Epstein files, I'm just like, the tariffs are not enough for y'all? Like, what is the obsession with the Epstein files? What are you waiting for? Everything that you're suspicious, how about you just trust your gut? And just go, okay. So now what? Let's just say what? There are literally announcements, like we know that Epstein had condoms with Trump's face on them, referencing huge. There's countless photos that are decades old connecting him with this man. Several of accusers and survivors have shared stories of witnessing Trump or being around him. What are we waiting for? What do you need? What is going to inspire you? What are you going to do? I just feel like the goalpost keeps moving. What made Kamala Harris unelectable to the American public was not rooted in these types of scandals. But yet, we need Epstein files. Some of y'all need Epstein files in order to really, like, be over Trump. It wasn't the racism. It wasn't the misogyny. It wasn't the insurrection. It wasn't the xenophobia. It wasn't all these bans, these travel bans. It wasn't the negligence around COVID in 2020 that in many ways misinformation led to millions of people dying in this country. Like, I'm just trying to understand, what will it take? And so because the sky is the limit, I don't think the Epstein files are going to make that much of a dent. I don't think they are, because January 6th happened nearly 5 years ago, and I thought that was like, oh hell no. And you all elected him. Numerous indictments, guilty verdicts in some cases. That was not enough for you all to go, yeah, no. So I don't believe you. I don't. For those who feel like you just need to know about the Epstein files, and what? Seriously, and what? And what? And what happens next? Not a damn thing. So, quite frankly, I'm tired of the conversation. Democrats are playing both sides of it. To be honest, I don't think any of them, either party really wants these Epstein files to be fully out there. I think that, to be honest, when it comes to political misconduct and sexual misconduct and the allegations of such, I think that's a bipartisan thing they have in common. We need to stop acting like one party is better than the other when it comes to shit like that. Because shit like that, let's be real, okay? So we could spend this entire Trump administration trying to hammer down what's the redacted and what's the didactic. Listen, I would say this: trust your own gut. But what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? You think there's gonna be an impeachment? It's not. It's not happening. It's not. There's already been an attempt to shut down a previous attempt by Green, Congressman Green, who's an alpha man, who tried to call for impeachment articles. It's not happening. They're not going to impeach him. The Republicans are complicit. It's not happening. There are some Democrats that are as well. It's not happening. Let's let that go. So, that Vanity Fair story, a hot mess. The White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, might be the most interesting member in the White House, in my opinion. Carolyn Levitt, or whatever her name is, and the speculation of her lip fillers and bad lips and photos, a mess. But the quote that sticks with me from the interview is by Susie Wiles. I'm not an enabler. I'm also not a bitch. I guess time will tell whether I've been effective. They described her in the Vanity Fair story as the enforcer. Some great reporting by Chris Whipple. The photographer, Christopher Anderson, did his big one with these very exposing photos of the administration. You got J.D. Vance, you got Marco Rubio, you, of course, got Carolyn Leavitt, or the press secretary. The photos are horrific. I mean, you got Stephen Miller, who's doing his big one. Dan Scavino, who just looks like a mess. The pictures, the photography is striking, and it's been the talk of the town. Junkyard dogs, all kind of things. I mean, I won't go through the whole story. I mean, it's worth the read if you can read it. It's worth the read. It's great journalism, great photography. In a nutshell, too long didn't read. This administration is fighting amongst themselves. There is a lot of distrust. There is a lot of I don't know what the fuck is going on moments with them. And it's very clear that the Trump administration is imploding from within. But in spite of the backpedal, because Susie Wiles and others tried to say it was a hit piece and it was not true and it was not this. Listen, this is Vanity Fair. They record everything. They ask for the consent. These people knew what was being said. They just like to lie and support each other's lie, even when the lies don't help them, right? It's just bullshit. While we're fighting over that, right, in Vanity Fair, healthcare, affordable healthcare subsidies are going to be killed, right? Future ones. The House is failing us on that. You got Trump doing this televised address that was pretty much unhinged. I don't really even understand what was the point of it. It was like 30 minutes long. It disrupted national TV, broadcast TV. Everybody was trying to figure out what's going on. He rambled his way through. It's all over the place. It's just, what did I just watch? I'm so happy to announce I did not watch it live. Came home from a Christmas party, put it on YouTube. There we go. Didn't miss a damn thing, pretty much. At this point, he's trying to do the Hunger Games, called Patriot Games. A young girl, a young guy from each state will be chosen to compete in whatever the hell this thing is. It's given Hunger Games, except I guess no one's killing each other, but it's called Patriot Games. Weirdest, kookiest shit ever. He's changing the name. It's now the Trump Kennedy Center. I know members of the Kennedy family right now, even those who are dead, are rolling in their grave. I just hope that whoever gets elected in the 2028 election, hopefully it's a Democrat. If a Democrat wants to, actually, let me knock on wood. I don't really know what the plan is, but this shit got to be taken down. Like, is anyone taking notes right now of all the things he's put his name on? So at the moment he is out of office, we're going to reverse this shit back. I hope people know that. And everybody who's being complicit in playing with this man and playing these games with these people, with this man, with this shit, y'all better start looking for new jobs soon. Just like you have to do in 2020. Because this is going to be a wrap. Ethiopian Somalis are being denied citizenship. Like, there's a lot going on right now in this country. A lot. But then you got people like Elise Stefanik, who we talked about heavily. She was wanted the UN ambassador seat. It was all that drama. She got demoted. She ended up deciding to run for governor. That's what she wanted. At first, she had a congressional interest where she was in Congress, left for a seat that she ended up not getting, had aspirations for governor. Apparently now she's out of politics altogether, even though she was really one of Trump's biggest cheerleaders. She played a lot of games, but now it looks like it's over. Which is even messy. Trump has now endorsed Bruce Blakeman in that New York governor's race after Elise left. She has ended her New York governor bid, and as a result of that, she's going to leave Congress. She's not running for re-election. It's a lot going on here, y'all. And I think part of the problem was that the Trump endorsement that never came for her was pretty much what some people consider the piece to the puzzle. So, yeah. Like, she pretty much was a pick-me for him. Like, Elise Stefanik was a ultimate pick-me for Trump and tried to do everything to please him. And it still backfired. And it seems like a lot of mega women are leaving. Senator Cynthia Lummis, she's leaving from Wyoming.
And that was wild because she shocked the world. I mean, over the past weekend, you know, she was the mega darling, Elise Anthony. She shocked everybody. Now she's quitting politics. And then next thing you know, the Wyoming senator, Cynthia Loomis, did the same thing. Now, it's more surprising that Stefanik left. A lot of people are not that shocked about Loomis, but we did hear signs, and I think I talked about some podcasts that there was speculation that there was going to be a series of continual people dropping out of this moment. Um, when I was on Piers Morgan's show recently, Piers Morgan Uncensored, I brought up that my prediction, my big political prediction for 2026 is that Mega's going to implode. It's going to implode. And it slowly is. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving, Elise Stefanik leaving. You got these other senators and other folks that's slowly but surely backing out, retiring. It's telling. So, yeah. This isn't good. This isn't good. And what's crazy is that Loomis, pretty much, um, she got into some controversy. She's 71 years old. Um, she decided not to run for re-election because she felt she did not have 6 more years in her. Well, at 71 years old, I get it. She will serve one term in the Senate. Um, she would just have that. She only served one. Her seat goes up for election in 2026. She was previously in Congress from 2009 to 2017. Now here we are. Mm, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. So I don't know. I think this is the end. We're beginning to see, like I told you all before, we're beginning to see the end of the mega era. It's not over yet. It's not over yet, but we're beginning to see the end. The end is near. Um, Slowly but surely. It's steady. And the reason why I say that because this issue is not even just outside of the Trump world. Dan Bongino, who was the FBI deputy director, he's the podcaster, Dan Bongino. He actually has a podcast. It's called the Dan Bongino Show, which was a political conspiracy theory driven show. But he was the FBI deputy director, under that whole Cash Patel situation, who is the current FBI director, who is in a lot of scrutiny. Grand opening, grand closing. He didn't really stay in that position that long. Y'all, this is like we're entering what's about to be the first full year of the Trump administration in his second term. And literally everybody's dropping out. Project 2025, I think I've heard an estimate that 40% of that agenda got done, which is more than enough. But yeah, it's a lot changing in Trump world. It's a lot changing in Trump world. Now, Democrats. I have some things to get off my chest. But before I do, I'm gonna get to the good, then we're gonna get to the ugly. The good thing is, well, I don't even know if this is a good thing. I mean, I don't know if it's tedious. They are actively seeking to impeach the DOJ director, District Department of Justice director, Pam Bondi. I guess she's the AG Attorney General, Pam Bondi. They want to impeach her on this fumble. I think the public interest would be in favor of that. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if this is just a stunt. But there is a growing interest in her. Someone's going to go. I don't know who's going first. Because there's some people that's like weak as fuck over there. Is it Pete Hegseth? Is it Kash Patel? Or is it Pam Bondi? A woman, a person of color, or a white man? Who's going out first, y'all? I feel like I'm going to start with the person of color. I feel like Kash Patel will be out first. I could be wrong. But I feel like those three are the weakest in this administration. Now, Caroline Leavitt, she's going to ride it. Young, don't look like it, but a mess, right? And let me also say this on the whole Caroline Leavitt situation, the spokesperson. White liberals, women, please respectfully stop letting white feminism cloud your judgment on using it to support fascists. Like, I didn't know this needed to be said, but telling, marginalized people, Black and brown people, Black women, not to mock or poke fun at a fascist appearance is this kind of like, oh, rapists have feelings too. Oh, domestic terrorists have feelings too. We don't have to tease their looks. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It's very fucked up. I'm not even gonna say weird. That's not what this is. It's fucked up. Like, you cannot force empathy on people who's been afflicted and tell them how they are supposed to respond to their abuser. The least people could be doing here is poking fun at what they seem to find grotesque. You're not going to tell me that women, conservative women specifically, anti-Black white women in the conservative mega movement, who are literally supporting a man who's been accused multiple times of sexual assault and abuse, has been actually found liable for one particular incident in the courts, that somehow you think that there's a level of feminism that it should be used to defend them from what? So we're having a conversation where we're saying a woman who's aligned herself with a man accused of sexual assault multiple times, a racist, a misogynist, she's partaken in such misogyny herself, internalized and external anti-Blackness, bigotry, and all of the things. You're telling me that this person is worthy of people's consideration on how they remark about her hideous appearance, that somehow that is what you're choosing to defend and interject. You don't see how that's fucked up. Like, I don't. Do you know what year we're in? Do you know the Muffin Man? Do you know what time it is? Are you fucking around and finding out? Like, I'm just trying to understand, how do we get here with this? I don't understand. So what I'm talking about, if people are trying to figure out what I'm getting at, is that there was a gathering of white feminists online telling Black women and others that that just because you don't like Carolyn Levitt or whatever doesn't mean that you're not partaking in sexism by critiquing her fillers and her looks because she's a woman. Where was this activism when Black women's IQs were being questioned by said people? Where was this when Black women reporters like Yamiche Alcindor was being literally berated and disrespected by this man, and this woman, Caroline, as another woman, right, defended and justified that? Like what? What? Like, this is what you're choosing to defend? I people like that, right? Individuals like that who play those games in a time of crisis, like these are the things you're focusing on and prioritizing. This is why I will never sit at these tables and strategize with people like this. People's Medicare is about to get cut off. Women are literally losing their reproductive rights because of women like her. And you're worried and concerned because people are mocking this person who decided to botch the fuck out their non-existent lips. That's what you've chosen to fight on in the name of feminism. The plot is missing, y'all. The plot is lost. The plot is lost. The plot. This is unserious. We're dealing with unserious ass people. And this is how he got reelected. This is how he got reelected. This is how Trump got reelected. It's the lack of cohesion, consistency, focus. It's the need to virtue signal for shit that ain't even signaling and ain't even in virtue. It's out of a muck. It's a muck. But this is what the Democrats are doing, the liberals are doing, right? Some of them, not all of them, clearly not myself. But that's not even the real issue I had. The biggest disgusting thing that the Democrats did this week, and it's been frustrating, and I know some people were like, oh, listen, I'm going to talk my shit about this party because I'm unfortunately in a position where there's no strong third party on a national scale that I can really choose on. Let's not talk about the Green Party. Where is she? Where is she? Where is Jill Stein? Did y'all find her? I thought I asked y'all where was Jill Stein last week. Does Mark Lamont Hill knows where Jill Stein is? He's got so much mouth about Jasmine Crockett. He's got so much mouth about everybody else. Where is Mark? Did you find Jill Stein? Or are you too busy with Joe Budden creating a podcast episode that's lacking substance and relevance? Like, did y'all find Jill Stein? While there's all this smoke for a woman who actually got elected and served as vice president, it's quite interesting that Jill Stein never shows up until, are we going to see her in 2027? Is that when we're going to see Jill Stein again? Because she does this like a jack in the box. Like, she always pops up whenever there is a race to run, so she can be a chaos agent and draw attention. Like yeah. I'm going to focus because that's just a lot right now. That's just like making me go like bananas. So the Democratic National Committee will not be releasing their 2024 election autopsy. That was something that was supposed to happen, okay? I'm a little frustrated with this group because the chair, this man ran on a platform as a leader, okay? He literally supported this. He said, listen, he wants there to be accountability. Ken Martin ordered for the autopsy months ago, and now the DNC is scrapping its report on what went wrong. So we will not know. He pledged this, that he was going to release this post-election report, and now they won't share it. They're flip-flopping. So this is disgusting. Like, everyone should have a diagnostic, right? There should always be a diagnostic that educates people on policy. We should always have an education and knowledge of what went wrong to know how to do better, right? We saw this with 2016. We studied it. Biden was able to find out and learn what what issues were wrong with the campaign in 2016 with Hillary Clinton's campaign to be a little bit better this time. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. We won't know. And I wonder if that's part of the politics. Like, I wonder if part of the reason why they're not sharing is because they think certain people are going to be running again in 2028. So people like Kamala Harris, Cory Booker. Cory Booker didn't run in 2024, but, well, I don't know. I guess it would be just Kamala Harris. Like, are they purposely not putting that out because there is a chance that she might run again and the details would draw attention to her in a way that will hurt her chances? That's my theory. My theory is that now that it appears that Kamala Harris is still ranking high amongst Democratic voters who want her to run again, which I want to see what else is out there. I'm not saying no, absolutely, but I'm not saying a resounding yes. I really feel like there just needs to be more out there. If you was to ask me right now, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. The answer is no. No. And the reason why I say no is because I just don't think this country is in a space right now where they want to elect a woman. I hate to say it. It's just true. They're not interested in electing a woman for president. Clearly, they have an issue for vice president. But this country's damn sure not going to elect a woman for president and let it be a black woman at the same time. It's not happening. Not right now. Not right now. And Michelle Obama said it best. You all play in our face. People play in our face. Did she run a good campaign? There was a couple of things I admired. There were definitely some things to frown at. Y'all know how I felt about that, especially in Philadelphia. But we're not going to play this game. We played in 2016. We played in 2024. The only reason why the Democrats got it in 2020 because it was an old white man that people knew. To be quite honest, let's just go back to that. I ain't going to hold you. Let's just go back to that. Let's just go back to that. Because anything else would just be crickets. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sold on that for her. No. What do people say? No, sir, not me. But yeah, but I think in my mind, my theory is I don't think the DNC is releasing the 2024 election autopsy because of that. Because I think they don't want to implicate the possibility that Kamala Harris might be a strong contender again for 2028. We'll see what the party do. We'll see where the money go. But this is a tight race. Even though I can't stand them, I'm going to keep it honest with y'all. Right now, if the primary was today, I will vote for Gavin Newsom. I just feel like I don't trust this country. I don't trust this country. I would love, if I had it my way, my personal pick would be Wes Moore. But I think Wes Moore might be gunning for vice president. And I can see a vice presidency for him. I think about, Gretchen Whitmer. They're saying Gretchen Whitmer might want that VP seat. Big Gretch been flipping too much for me. I'm really interested in Wes Moore. I think Wes Moore does not want to be president right now. I really believe him when he says that. But I definitely think he's somewhere thinking, you know what, I might be able to pull it for VP. And I think we could do that. We could do him for VP. I think that's his strategy. I think he would be president. I think it's Newsom, Moore. I like that combo. In my mind, that would be the combo. I think Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer. I'm not sold on Josh Shapiro. You already know that. I don't think he's going to get black male votes. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't. Too many skeletons in that closet that I think will keep coming up. If it stopped him from being VP, it's going to definitely stop him from president. He doesn't like me. I know he don't. No. No. If it was like pop the balloon, it would just be like pop. The moment he walked in, pop. No. Gavin Newsom, I will hold the balloon a little bit. Like I feel like we should treat it like pop the balloon. Like you know the show, pop the balloon. Like a situation when the candidates come in and people popping a balloon. Why you pop your balloon? If they did that with Shapiro and he walked in and the guy would come in and say, so she'll be like, why did you pop your balloon, Ernest? Mm, I don't. I find that he's trying to sound like Obama, and that just feels dated, and I just don't think his style. He's a little too plain. I feel like it's giving like 2012, 2008 candidate energy. I don't really feel like it's giving the future. Yeah. A little corny. Not my type. Like I just feel like that's what it's giving. It's giving pop the balloon. Like Gavin Newsom comes in, I'm holding the balloon. If he says something a little off, I might pop it because I might feel like shucking and jiving again for the far right. But if he don't, I'm just gonna hold on to the balloon a little bit. But I don't really see it, y'all. I don't really see. I mean, the way that Gavin is coming at Trump. I mean, this is a tall white man who just is giving it. He's giving it. He's giving it. I don't know. Do I think he's the best candidate? No. But Biden wasn't either. My personal pick at that election time was Julian Castro. Julian Castro was my favorite candidate, actually. Julian Castro, I liked him a lot. I really liked him a lot. That was my personal pick, but he didn't make it. I don't see anybody else. I don't see anybody else. Now, you know what? I'll take that back. J.B. Pritzker is fun. A billionaire. I think we're over billionaires, though. But I mean, a rich old white man like him that has a little bit of swagger for good. I mean, if we can elect Trump, that would be an interesting mix. But overall, right now, I feel like Gavin Newsom is just the front runner to me, and I'm not gonna play with it. I'm not gonna play with it. If that's where we're going, y'all, I'm not gonna disrupt that. If the tide is in his favor, I'm just gonna get information with it. I'm sorry. I lack political imagination after what happened to Kamala, after what I've seen with Trump's reelection. Y'all not about that life. Y'all not a lot. Y'all not about it. Even in the community, like you all don't want her again. You keep pretending you do, but you don't. I don't believe it. I don't believe people. The stuff that I heard, the stuff that I saw, I don't believe y'all. Y'all gonna support Gavin Newsom is giving Hollywood. I get it. And you know what? I'm not gonna fight it. I'm not withholding a goddamn vote. I'm gonna vote because at this point, too much stuff is online. Healthcare is on the line. Gay marriage continues to be on the line. Equal rights, labor rights, healthcare. I mean, reproductive rights. It's just too much on the table right now. And it's not worth fighting. Y'all got it. If y'all, it's looking like Gavin Newsom, y'all. And if it's Gavin Newsom, I'm not resisting. I'm not fighting it. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. And you can say what you want to say. But I've tried to have a presidential political imagination, but we're just not there anymore. And it's a little sad because the first person I was able to vote for president of the United States was Barack Obama, a black man from where I was from. And I thought to myself, I came in a great time because I got to help reelect a black man for president, a Democrat. I was like, oh, the sky's the limit. 2016, I'm excited again. I'm like, I get to vote for a woman. We just going up, up, up and away. And she's clearly going to beat this dumbass Donald Trump. That's what I thought. And when she lost, I said, okay. And then Biden. I said, you know what? We got to support the old white man because this country's not ready. I said, this country's not ready. The country's not ready. That's what I said. The country's not ready. We're gonna go with Joe. We did it, Joe. Joe won. So then I'm thinking, okay, 2024. Biden decides to drop out. I'm like, I know y'all not about to sit there and play Kamala like this because she was supposed to be next in line anyway. She gets a nomination. There's a lot of high energy. And I'm thinking, we've seen what Trump has done. This should be easy for her. That night, that election night, I was at CBS Philadelphia Studios. The numbers were moving. And once again, I was in an Uber ride heading back home like I was in 2016, hearing over the radio Trump's victory speech. This time it didn't even take all night. I remember I woke up the next morning like I did in 2016, angry. Never again. I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not playing with y'all. I'm going to go ahead, vote for Gavin Newsom. We might as well just prepare for that. I mean, if it's not him, who is going to be? But it might change. But I don't trust. This country's not changing. It's not changing. I don't trust this country. I don't. And this time, Democrats not only lost the electoral vote, they lost the popular vote. I said, oh no. Oh no. Not doing this. Not doing this. Not doing this with y'all. So that's where I'm at. I'm not arguing, debating. Like, politics in so many ways, the national political scene, when it comes to these elections, because of what we're dealing with, has gotten not that inspiring. Because this country is just really not there yet. There's always like a slither, right? New York City is an anomaly with Mondani. But it's New York City, okay? Philadelphia, like, it's Philly. But this does not speak to the vast majority of this country. And I've come to accept that reality. Not to say it can't change, but it's different. It's different. So, immediate changes. Charlamagne the God has signed a $200 million deal with iHeartMedia. I mean, I guess he wants to be the Joe Rogan of black media, I suppose. I think this is reckless. I think this is not a good move on iHeartMedia's part. I know it sounds strategic. I think this is going to be a bigger problem than they realize. I think Leonard is a liability. That's his real name. I think this power play with the Breakfast Club, it's 15 years old now. Yep, they're 15 years old. They've been around just as long as I have been doing my own radio show. And I've been in media, right? 2010 was when the Breakfast Club. The best years of the Breakfast Club is behind it. We're just seeing a culture like where you've got Stephen A. Smith and these other men where they're incentivized to pretty much debase the black community and other communities as well. There's an investment in that chaos machine. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. We're in a world where I just think about that money and how it could have been invested to... Look, I know people want to make money and make profit, but there's got to be a better way. There are better ways. And it's just lazy and predictable. I would say we're fucked, but terrestrial radio has been fucked. I just think we're at a point where we got to come together and just demand better. But now that he's got this attention on him, I wonder if there is a conversation about the quality control of that show. I don't know. But $200 million is nothing to sneeze on. A lot of podcasts, as a result of all this going on, is transitioning Netflix. So now they're going to be exclusively streaming. You're not going to be able to watch The Breakfast Club on YouTube anymore. You're now going to have a Netflix subscription to watch full episodes of these Breakfast Club interviews and things. So that's going to be interesting, especially on a social media tip, because what made those shows have more traffic and volume was that people would get clips off of YouTube, which was like fair use, and then push them out. And that's how you was aware of the hype. This new connection of Netflix is interesting. And it's not just because YouTube really wants to get in the streaming business and specifically get into the podcasting world, but they're doing so in a very strategic way. The Chelsea Handler podcast that she has, there's a lot of other shows as well. So it's not just The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club is one of the premier ones, but there's a lot as well. And I think some of this connects to the fact that Paramount, that big, huge deal that they wanted to counter to sell to Warner Brothers. Well, Warner Brothers is not feeling it. They're still sticking with Netflix. So that's going to happen. Netflix is going to acquire Warner Brothers very, very soon. In other news, TikTok, there will be a TikTok US situation going on. After a year of this chaos, TikTok is there's going to be a US version. They signed a deal. TikTok says it's reached a deal. They're going to spin off its US operations into this new joint venture, which is supposed to be securing the app's future in the US. That's the narrative. That's what people are saying. I'm very cynical about this. You know how I feel about this whole situation. It's been really weird to watch. But look at the companies involved, though. These are US companies that are connected to Trump. And it's already been said that they're going to be doing different things that is not a good look. Not a good look. We're going to see a lot of surveillance issues. I don't have a TikTok account. You all know that. I got rid of my TikTok account over a year ago. Been over a year ago. Deleted, deactivated it. When the first temporary shutdown happened, I downloaded all my files, disabled, took it down. Been TikTok free ever since. And I feel like it's not as good anymore. I won't say it's good anymore, but I feel like it's been a little quiet. I feel like we're in this weird implosion moment with TikTok where I feel like people are starting to, I don't want to say fall off of it, but I think people are beginning to, I think it's reached its peak. I think it's reached its peak. I think a lot of people are like, it's not horrible, but I feel like there's a space where people are beginning to phase off of it. And I think part of it is the oversaturation of influencers. But yeah, they're going to be sold as a consortium of American investors. So you got Oracle, MGX, and Silver Lake. They're doing this joint venture, basically TikTok USDS joint venture, because this is the way for them to avoid this national ban. They are expecting the deal to close on January 22nd of 2026. They say the sale is done, which means this ensures that U.S. data security, all the algorithmic independence, all of that will be protected. That's what they're claiming. It will be a majority owned by those investors. ByteDance, which was the previous company that was in Asia, is regaining a minority stake, but it is establishing this independent U.S. control over content moderation, data, and algorithms. So all of this is going to be the argument. The problem is who these investors are. And like I said before, China is anything to play with. The politics of this is very telling. Yeah. So I'm hearing that the deal is going to be set around January 22nd. If I were you, and this is my recommendation, my personal recommendation, if I were any of you all who have a TikTok account, I would be deactivating it. I'll be downloading all of my shit if I can. I would be deleting it, moving off of it, getting off of it ASAP. Because the transition to a U.S. company, you don't think China, in the meantime, is getting all this data? I don't trust it. If I were you, I would leave it. I would leave TikTok. I would get off of it for good. And I'm not talking wicked. I'm talking social media. Get off of that shit for good. That's my theory. That's what I would do. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the state of media right now. It's an interesting time. There's a lot of transitions, even on the local front. You know, Jim Donovan, who was on CBS Philly for many years, he's retiring. I'm hearing of some talent, NBC 10. There's a lot of people leaving. NBC 10 did a quiet, in Philadelphia, NBC 10 did a quiet layoff. Like, a lot of folks got laid off. Some black talent, Harry Hairston, is open for work. And he's been an anchor there for years. And I saw on LinkedIn he was looking for work. There was an announcement of a woman named Anjanae who does Philly Live that she's not going to be hosting the show anymore. I don't know. It seems as though she's on a new chapter, but we don't really know where that chapter is. I mean, hopefully she's still on there. She hasn't said anything, but one of her colleagues on that show suggested and hinted at that. But it's just, there's a lot of different people leaving for various reasons, either getting laid off or retiring. And listen, as an independent journalist myself who works with media companies but not for them, there's a difference. Listen, I was seeing these signs very, very early. And I felt like it was important to make a change and a transition. So that's what I'm doing. And that's what I've been doing. And we got to be versatile, people. We got to mix it up. We got to get some hustle in us. And I think too many people have just trusted in these big corporations, these brands. But every time I turn around, everyone's looking at me like, Ernest, you know, how do you not work full time for one particular place? I mean, what about job security? What about this? And I'm like, listen, doing it this way has been the job security I need. My husband and I, we're both now entrepreneurs. He has a PR firm. I have my own media company. He's doing great with his PR, his consulting, his strategy work. I'm doing my thing, clearly. It's actually more functional if you actually understand the business. If you're actually, you know, taking the time to understand the market and be open to different things. And I don't know. I just think it sucks that we're in a world where that's the only way people can be able to ensure security. But you got to be creative. You got to be strategic. And I think that's what's missing in this economy. So that's our current state of media. So this week in local politics, the mayor made a grand appearance on Friday at her State of the City address. This is the second time she's done this, which is wrapping up her second year and the first half of her first term as mayor of Philadelphia. Mayor Cheryl Parker, you know, had a full-fledged production. This was at the Temple Performing Arts Center. I went. I was invited. I was on the press list. Had my credentials, all that, seating. It was a very interesting event. It was long. I have now coined the term CPT, which stands for Cheryl Parker Time, because what else could it mean? CPT, Cheryl Parker Time. The event started on time, 11 a.m. It was supposed to be over at 12:30 p.m. That's what the press was told. Because they had this schedule, they had this scripted, they had everything, you know, video collages, speech timed, you know, teleprompters, all the things, everything was moving. And of course, the mayor goes off script, you know, she's at the very end. And
what was supposed to be over at 12:30 p.m. lasted till 1:20 p.m. So nearly an hour extra. And here's the thing. I didn't expect the mayor to be done at 12:30. In my head, I was like, okay, about 1 o'clock. Anytime I see elected official have an event where there's like a 45 or something 15 or 30, I'm always moving it to the next hour. But when she got past 1 o'clock, people were like, you could feel some of the camera crew, some of the people, everyone was like, come on. Like, come on. Like, at a certain point, you just got to read that room. And I feel like because she had so many people that, I mean, there were moments, there were great highlights in the speech. I mean, people were clapping and feeling what she was saying. I think that because she had the room at certain points, she just felt like it was an invitation to just digress and digress and digress. And I won't say that it was a rant at times, but it did feel like a diatribe. Like it just felt like, you know. Now, here's the thing. She had all the media there. And at one point we felt like we were held hostage. I'm not going to kid you. Like when it got like to 12:45, we felt like we were held hostage. It was almost like you started seeing people like dance in their seat a little bit. Like everyone was kind of like getting a little squirmy, like ready to go. And part of it was that we didn't have any food. And I'm not saying that we need to have a meal. Okay, I get it, budgets. But you could have had some soft pretzels, some apples, some tasty cakes, some Arnold Palmer, the lemon iced tea from Wawa. I mean, you could have got some water bottles. I mean, you could have had something. I think when you have people that long, I'm always about this. I believe in etiquette. I'm big on that. When you have events like that and you have that many people and it's that early and you got all these working things, because media had to get there like at 10 a.m. We had to get there around 10 a.m. to get seated, to get things set up. So we were there for over 3 hours. And I'm just sitting here like, come on. And the thing is, the state of the city is not like, it's an important event, but it's not like the budget hearing, right? The budget address. Like when the mayor does the budget address at city council, it is a standing room only affair. I mean, it is probably the most important speech that the mayor gives every year, the budget address, which is in May. I think, yeah, it's roughly, is it May? It's typically around May. And the mayor gives that budget address, and that literally sets the agenda, probably like late April, if I'm mistaken. But it's definitely in the later spring. And the mayor pretty much tells us what the focus is. And she really tries to, champion and push city council to go through with it. I mean, that's important. This is not that. And this is also very unprecedented. Like previous mayors did not do this on an annual basis, but it's a production. I mean, there were student dancers, which were great. There was a student group that performed. There's singing. There was like the Negro National Anthem that was sung, the entire song, not just the first 2 verses, but like the whole song. There were several other special things that popped up. There were video collages and there were like video things, and then there were like opening speeches. Like it was just a full-fledged production where everyone basically said that the state of the city is in good shape, even though there are some inconsistencies there. So let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's talk about the good first, right? The good news is that, hey, crime is down. Like undeniably, crime, homicides are going down. We're at 1950s level. I mean, crime is going down throughout the city. And I do feel that way. I don't feel like, I don't know, like I just remember a couple years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever, that's all you kept hearing about was gun violence, gun violence, gun violence. And it was, the what they call them, the hustlers, the poverty pimps of the world. People were really exploiting that, and really, acting like, if you give me some money, I'm going to fix it. It was a lot of that politicking going on, right? Crime is going down, and people are trying to figure out what is driving that. I think there are several factors. I think one, we're out of the pandemic, so that plays a good role. But I will also say that our commissioner, Bethel, he is doing a pretty good job. He's a lot better, a whole lot better than former disgraced commissioner Danielle Outlaw. Easily better than her. So I think it's safe to say that a new commissioner, a new change in leadership definitely played a role in that. Caveat to that slightly is Kensington. The drug market in Kensington, there is some slight progress, but still a sore spot in this conversation around crime. Other good strengths, I would say, is cleaner, greener. The city is getting cleaner. There has been some very visible, active steps around street trash pickup and things. North Philly is about to get trash pickup 2 times a week, which is good. There seems to be a lot of efforts there. Shout out to that director. His last name is Williams. He is doing some really good work on that front. And so I do feel like those are some really good strengths, right? Good stuff. Can't deny it. The city, we say, what is it? A cleaner, greener, a safer, cleaner, greener city with economic opportunity for all. And that's when we get into the bad. That economic opportunity, and she says economic, I say economic, but tomato, tomato. The city has dropped to a certain extent. We're no longer the poorest major city in America. That now belongs to my hometown of Houston, Texas. Even though people have argued that the numbers are shifting because of the fact that there's a lot of New York transplants coming here, which has changed some of the financial demographics. There's a lot of New Yorkers coming to Philadelphia, so the numbers are changing slightly because of transplanters. That's what some people are claiming. I'm not going to go into that conversation. But what's interesting is that homelessness has increased by 20% from the previous year. There are more unsheltered Philadelphians in Philadelphia than there were last year. So even though there's been this conversation around safety and cleaner streets, there has been an increase in unsheltered Philadelphians, 20%, which led to the mayor, which is a part of the good, but also a little bit of the bad before we get to the ugly, signing an executive order that is going to ensure that there are going to be 1,000 new beds for shelters. This should go into effect by January 31st, 2026. So the mayor is doing something about it. We can all debate about what's the best step, but nonetheless, she's doing something with numbers, and we like that. We like that. Some other things that people are talking about that is getting the conversation really going is, I don't know if this goes into ugly or bad. I think we're going to get to bad. I think I'm going to put this in bad, but it gets ugly. So the bad before it gets to ugly, which were optics, bad optics, and then we're going to get to ugly optics. But there were some bad optics at this state of the city. I keep saying, I want to say state of the union, but state of the city. For starters, it is very clear that the Parker administration and city council are not feeling each other. There were only 4 members of city council out of 17 city council members that was present at this event. The 4 that were there was council member Anthony Phillips, who is Sherelle Parker's predecessor in that district city council seat. So he's a close ally to her. Obviously, it should be expected. The other 3, however, that's when things got interesting. Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke was present. He's of Working Families Party. Councilmember at large Rue Landau was present.
and Councilmember Jamie Gautier was present. Now, the three of them make up what I call the Big Progressive Four. That's how I describe them. The Big Progressive Four in City Council is Rue Landau, Jamie Gautier, Kendra Brooks, and Nicholas O'Rourke. Two of them are from the Working Families Party, which is the minority party of City Council. And then the other two are Democrats and whatnot. Note that three of them are at-large members, and there's only one district member that is a part of that Progressive Four. That is Jamie Gautier, who was my City Council district representative. I live in a district that is represented by a progressive in Gautier. So, that's kind of cool, isn't it? But, So there's a lot there. I think there's a lot there to be said. Now, because I want to get to ugly, but to the bad of this, what it shows that there's a disunity and a disconnection that's still reeling. For Council President Keon Johnson not to be there, for there to be other major players like Councilmember Catherine Gilmer Richardson, Isaiah Thomas, Curtis Jones, for there to be other members not present, especially the senior top brass leadership, to not be present at this was a very glaring omission. You could argue who's wrong in that. Is it council wrong for not being there for the mayor, or the mayor not, I don't know. But it just seems to be the optics of that just really was very noticeable. Another thing in the bad category, before I get to ugly, because there is a real major ugly, and I think it's time for me to talk a little bit more about it. Look, they're not going to be happy about this, but we tell the truth and shame the devil. But I want to say some things about what I'm going to get to in the ugly. But one interesting bad that I thought, Dr. Ayla Stanford is running for Congress. We all know this. She was on stage at the State of the City. Now, people said that, according to people close to the administration, she was there in her capacity as a member of the healthcare field. She does run the Black Doctors Consortium. She does do a lot of work with providing resources. I think she did a lot with Riverside, which is supposed to be a treatment facility for those in Kensington and those dealing with addiction. Apparently, her resources are part of that. I know Jefferson Hospital is doing this partnership with the city as well on some of that work. So there is some part of that she's there. Not really feeling it, because I do feel like politics and optics matter. Mayor Cheryl Parker knows this. She gives Dr. Stanford this glowing, praise and acknowledgement on stage. State Senator Shreve Street, who's also running for Congress, was in the audience. She acknowledges him slightly, but I just felt like that dynamic was a little messy. There is speculation that she might endorse Dr. Ayla Stanford. Personally, I don't see that. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's just chatter in political circles. They're just being messy. Dr. Ayla Stanford got endorsed by former Mayor Michael Nutter earlier this week. This is following former Governor Ed Rendell, who endorsed Shreve Street prior to that. So there are some major endorsements happening right now as we seeing things tighten up. Mid-January, that big financial report is going to come. That's going to really be the big last major one we'll get before they have their primaries, which is going to be on Tuesday, May 19th. We will not see another financial document after January 9th prior to this primary. So this January financial report that's supposed to drop around mid-January is going to tell us who got the big dollars. And we should expect some dropouts after that, because this is a packed race. There's a lot of people running, but the big four that we're seeing here, that are the ones that everyone's watching, that we think one of these four are going to actually win, in my opinion, you have, in no particular order, State Senator Shreve Street, Dr. Ayla Stanford, State Representative Chris Rabb, and State Representative Morgan Cephas. Now, I predict that State Rep Morgan Cephas is going to drop out. I do think that's going to happen in January, in my opinion. I don't think she's going to stay on board. And I talked about that in my previous episode. However, she's still running. according to her camp. But sources close to me tell me that she's already thinking about other things. Allegedly, Curtis Jones's state representatives, I'm not state representative, city council seat. I think he's going to retire. That has not been announced, but I think he's going to retire. I have a lot of thoughts. I think he's going to retire. There are people that are already beginning to angle for his seat in close circles, and people are trying to gun for this seat. It's going to be a highly contested district seat. He's had it for over a decade, but some people have said that they think this is the time. I think he would have served in this seat for like 16 years. He's got his pension. Like, great guy. I enjoy the fact that he has taken strong stances. I think when he did not get the council president seat, I think it was very clear that this was going to be his last term. But again, none of this is official. This is just me, making some analysis and some predictions based on some substantial facts that drive my decision making. But yeah, I think it's time for him. I think Morgan knows that if she is going to gear up for that, she's got to figure this out, because that city council primary is going to be that mayoral reelection rate. All that's going to be in the spring of 2027. She's going to need a year of runway, one, to really scrub off the congressional race situation. She's going to need some time to do that. And she's also need to really get ready to reimagine and get the people to shift towards her. See, people like, Kenyatta Johnson, who's a perennial, not Kenyatta Johnson, Malcolm Kenyatta, who I call perennial candidate. He's always running for a new seat every damn year, every other year. I don't want Morgan Cephas to be viewed as a perennial candidate in that type of way. She's not. I mean, this is the first time she's stepped out and ran for Congress. But at the same time, this cannot be a pattern. This cannot be a habit. So there's a lot to consider in this dynamic. So I want to be very clear about that. But back to Mayor Parker. I hope she does not make an endorsement in this race. She knows too many people involved that this is just messy. Look, I know one person she's never going to endorse, and that's State Representative Chris Rabb. Like, she's been trying to support people to challenge this man's seat ever since he got the seat, and it's failed. The Northwest took a lot of hits because of their failure to unseat Chris Rabb. So, and I don't think she's going to have the problem with that, because I don't think Chris Rabb is running for re-election, to be honest, for state rep. And I think, I think he's done with it. This has not been official. This has not been announced anywhere, but that's my prediction. Okay. So she doesn't have to worry about that. I wonder who's going to get that seat. I wonder how policy is going to play in the Northwest for his seat. However, that's going to be interesting, but also the dynamics between her, right? Dr. Stanford is an AKA. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, okay? We're first fam. We're alphas. She's an AKA. Alphas and AKAs, they're the first fam. They're the first Black Greek letter sorority. Alpha is the first Black Greek letter intercollegiate fraternity. Like, we have that relationship. Sherelle Parker is a Delta. She's a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And her sorority sister is State Representative Morgan Cephas. I'm not saying that Greek life have anything to do with how people make endorsements. I mean, look, State Senator Sharif Street is a Kappa, but that doesn't speak to the Divine Nine and all those things. But that is a little bit of that, right? But I think the issue here is that Cephas has been a big supporter of the mayor. Okay, she has supported the mayor, and there's relatives close to Morgan Cephas's camp that also has been supporting the mayor in public ways. Dr. Ayla Stanford and the mayor have a good relationship. She's been very helpful with the Parker administration and the initiatives they're doing. State Senator Sharif Street has been very helpful in making sure that Sherelle Parker won mayor. There's just a lot of relationships here. Why would you feel like you need to choose? Don't choose. Don't endorse. That's my opinion. I wouldn't endorse. It's not politically sound. And I don't think she is. I think those optics would be bad. But stranger things have happened. And looking at the fact that Dr. Stanford it's very telling that Dr. Stanford used that clip as a part of her campaign. I don't know. I don't really like the way, personally, I don't really like the way that Dr. Stanford has been running her campaign. Some of the things that she's been doing just are a little cringy. I was not at the press conference, but one of the things that have been very disappointing is how she has really messaged her work around COVID in a way that sometimes come off very tone deaf, but also a sense of entitlement. Yes, you did play a role in getting a lot of people treatment and support during COVID. I got the shot. You all know. Wow, hasn't this show evolved, y'all? Because y'all remember when I first did this podcast, when I launched this podcast, I praised Dr. Stanford. I thought she should have been the health commissioner for the city. I got the COVID vaccination at the very beginning of this podcast in 2021. And a lot of that had to do with her leadership, right? I got the Moderna vaccine, a lot of that life-saving work, good work, great work. That was great work. But now I'm a little disappointed that she has leveraged that as a way to say, I did this and that's why I should be the next person for Congress. Respectfully, no, the fuck it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Two things can be true. You could have done a very good service, but that does not mean that you're automatically qualified or you should be a congressional person. Like, those are two different things. And quite frankly, I just get annoyed when this happens because this is exactly why I get annoyed when certain people, because it's almost like a bamboozlement. It's almost like, was this the plan all along? Did you do this kind of work because one, it's work that you are qualified to do, which I think you are. I think she's a great physician. I will never take that from her. She's a great doctor. She's a great health expert. She's stellar. But now I just feel like, so is this what you're going to do? Is this the way we do things? We just think that, because I did this thing, I saved these lives. Like, I am ready for the job. No, I don't. I actually don't. I actually do not think that Dr. Ayla Stanford would be a good congressperson. I don't. I'm going to be frank. I'm just so infuriated. I think Nutter, the way that he spoke about it, I'm just like, is that what we're doing? Is that the conflation we're making? Look, I am a great journalist. I am a hell of a great journalist. I'm a hell of a great educator. But I don't necessarily know if I'll be a good politician. I don't think I have the level of civility, I think I would curse people out. I think that I would just be disruptive. I don't think that I would have the temperament because I don't know if I can sit in a room and see people lie and not call them a liar constantly. I think that I am really good as a disruptor outside of that. So when people tell me they want me to run for office or they want me to be this, no, you don't. No, you don't. I would flip a table. I don't think I would be good for politics because I don't know how to lie. And I don't know how to fake the funk. And I don't know how to be a team player with people who are lackluster as fuck. No, I don't think I would be a good politician, quite frankly. And I think that certain people aren't either, but they will try to sell that. I think Dr. Ayla Stanford's strength is that she is a great leader in an individual space. I think that she is good when she is running things herself. And that's myself. When I'm in control, in full control and autonomy, I think I work well. But when you put me in a space where I will have to answer to different folks that I don't necessarily think are that smart or that bright, and I have to do it as a sense of diplomacy and decorum, I don't think I do well in that, okay? And that's why I think, that's why you all don't see me oftentimes want to work into a hierarchical structure when it comes to the politics of journalism, because there are so many people in the industry that have bad ideas but make more money and get promoted to fail upward. There's so much mediocrity that's tolerated, and I'm just not going to be comfortable being in a room with mediocre people making horrible story pitches that's going to fuck up my community. I don't know how to sit there and be quiet and be still. Can't do it. Don't do it. Won't stop. Can't stop. Won't stop. Rockefeller Rock. I'm not doing it, okay? And that's just my style. I also think that Dr. Ayla Stanford does not know how to work in a space like that. I think that it will be a major cultural shift, a culture shock. I think that she will make a lot of blunders. I think that why do a job like that? I'm not saying the job is beneath her. I just think that she has a higher calling, and I think her calling has been so much more than this. I would rather entertain Mayor before I entertain this for her. I mean, I think she's an executive. She's someone who is in a role where she should be an executive director. She should be someone that's bigger. I just don't think Congress is a seat that fits her type of leadership skills. And this is just knowing her personally, seeing how she works, knowing people close to her have told me stories privately and on background. I just don't think this is a good fit for her. And I don't think that her expertise speaks to the totality of the job. I don't really know her legislative acumen. I know that she has worked in D.C. in some type of way, but I mean, federal jobs are different. I just don't think this is it. And I just don't like the fact that she has now taken, the work that she's done in one way, and it's kind of guilt tripped people in a way. That's a little disappointing. There's so many things I want to say, but I'm going to reserve my thoughts. I just want to name this, though. I just want to name that this campaign has felt a little whiny. It's felt guilt trippy. There's a sense of entitlement in the way that she's talked about her record. It's been hard to hear. It's been hard to watch. And I don't know who's helping message it, but it's just very presumptuous and tone deaf. Like, there's so many things I want to say right now, but I'm gonna reserve my thoughts because I want to, I want to see some stuff play out. But what I'm seeing with the campaign, my analysis, is that everybody agrees she's smart. Absolutely. Brilliant. But again, those things can be true. And I don't necessarily know Congresswoman. No. And I'm saying this as somebody who thinks that she can be doing something that will actually maximize her skill set. And she has. Like, I remember when I told her that she should consider being the next health commissioner. I will not forget this. At the time, she said to me that she doesn't want to get into the politics. She felt like she had a bigger calling. She felt like she could do more. And she just felt like getting in the mix of the political space and being in the administration, the Kennedy administration, and dealing with the politics and all the things that she dealt with, that type of bureaucracy was not really her speed. And in many ways, she acted like that she was not interested in politics, which we both agreed on, because there was like a joke, a little banter that we had and other people, where I was like, they always asking for people like us that would know how to make the city better to do these political jobs, and how we're better off doing what we're doing because we'll make more money. And we would also just be better to be our full, authentic selves. Like, we talked about that. And so to see her now getting into this congressional race in the way that she has, I just feel like it's a 180, and I don't feel bamboozled. I think that's a strong word. But I kind of feel, not even hoodwinked, but I do feel a little like, really? So, yeah, that's how I feel. I just hope that the Cheryl Parker, the mayor, does not make an endorsement in this, because that would just be too messy. Because if her person does not win, or even if her person do win, there's going to be some fractures. And I just don't think we're not asking for the mayor to weigh in. We're not. No one's asking. No, I don't know anyone who's like, I wonder who the mayor's going to endorse. I don't think mayors typically do endorse in races like this. So I don't know. I hope she doesn't. Now to the ugly. There's a film that I've been talking about by a guy named Yorgos Ramos. I'm butchering his name. He was the director of a film called The Favorite. It's one of my favorite films of the past 10 years. It's centered around a queen played by Olivia Colman, who won the Academy Award for Best Actress in Lead Role. She beat Glenn Close in this, which I was a little taken aback. But I must say, this has aged well. This Oscar win. She's hilarious. It's a great performance. She plays Queen Anne in this incredible film. It's one of my best friend, Jamarcus and I we're besties, of course. This is one of our favorite, like, bestie films. Like, we could watch this and laugh. I think we saw it like 2 times at the Ritz. Like, we also saw Glenn Close in what we thought she was going to win Best Actress, but she didn't. The Wife. Glenn Close and The Wife is just, like, magnificent. She should have won, but Olivia Colman won. It was great. But anyway, this film stars Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz. All 3 of those women are Academy Award-winning actresses, by the way. Just fun fact. But this film, they all got Oscar nominations for this film. The ensemble of it all is just incredible. And it's centered around this queen who is tyrannical. She's emotional. She's all over the place. She's hilarious. She's all the things. But there's a little bit of a secret. Won't tell it. You got to watch the movie. It's an interesting spin and twist. But these 2 women, Emma Stone's character and Rachel Weisz, are vying for to be the lead of the queen. They are basically her advisors, her suitors, and they really are seeking her approval. They want to be the favorite. And it's so funny that the backstabbing and the connivingness and the house of cards of it. And it's such a very rich film. It's one of my favorite films in the past 10 years. And it's just so good. And the performances are good. And what it represents, the metaphors. I could do a whole thesis on this film. But what's interesting about it is that the dynamics between these 2 women, I feel like is happening right now in the mayor's office. The big 3, right? Which includes Vanessa Garrett Harley, who is a deputy mayor, Tiffany Thurman, who is the chief of staff, and Sinceri Harris, who's the chief deputy mayor as well. The 3 of them are in this, the mayor has described them as the big 3. They are her top senior, big leading people of her cabinet. The 3 of them hold the keys to the mayor. They are her trusted advisors. These are 3 top senior members. They are her big 3. She said it over and over again. But sources close to this administration, deep in the administration, has told me that there seems to be rifts in this relationship. I have heard consistently that, even from one of them actually, that they don't like this term big 3. The mayor likes the term the big 3. But apparently the 3 of them have been trying to shy away from this term, that there is really a difference in the hierarchy within the 3 of them, that Tiffany Thurman, the chief of staff, is not sharing unilateral power, that her power is a little bit higher. She is the voice. She is the one. And then there are 2 deputy mayors that serve under her, which is Vanessa Garrett Harley and Sinceri Harris. So there is a pecking order. There is a pecking order in this. Now, even within the 3, her point of contact, Tiffany Thurman's, is Vanessa Garrett Harley. She is her, person on her right. So there's sides here. The right hand of the mayor, according to close sources, is the chief of staff, Tiffany Thurman. Allegedly, nothing goes to the mayor without going to the chief of staff, Tiffany Thurman. You could go to anybody else, but if you don't go to her, it doesn't get done. Now, I will personally speak for myself and say that that's my interpretation, that it seems as though the person to get to the mayor's ear in the administration is Tiffany Thurman, who's the chief of staff. That this big 3 personification, there is Tiffany Thurman, to hear it from people close to her, there's no big 3, there's just me. Listen, that's what I'm hearing. Okay, sources close tell me this. I will tell you from my observation that there seems to be a differentiation between leadership. Okay, there is chief of staff, Tiffany Thurman, right ear of the mayor. Some will argue that the left ear is outside the administration. That's Aaron Platt, But if we're talking about the administration as in City Hall, her right side is Tiffany Thurman, the chief of staff. Now, Tiffany Thurman's right ear is Vanessa Garrett Harley, who's a part of that big three. Now, Vanessa Garrett Harley does not have any interest in being the mayor's, right. She respects Tiffany Thurman's position, and they have a really good duo relationship. But wait a minute, I said duo. Isn't there a big three? Isn't it supposed to be a trio, not a duo? Well, if you've noticed some dynamics in the portfolios, it's in the portfolios. Look carefully at the portfolios. There's been a shift in workload and responsibilities. And so Tiffany Thurman has an expansive portfolio. Vanessa Garrett Harley's portfolio is also expansive. They have comms and DHS and all of these different services. They have a really meaty portfolio. Now we look at the other deputy mayor, Sinceri Harris, who was the campaign manager of Cheryl Parker. Now, when the big three shifted, Aaron Platt left, Vanessa Garrett Harley moved into what that seat was. And then the big three really became the big three. Now, let me be very clear. Parker has been saying the big three before Vanessa Garrett Harley got in the position because Aaron Platt was there. So the big three initially was Tiffany Thurman, Aaron Platt, Sinceri Harris. Now, I remember Sinceri Harris was chief deputy mayor. That was her title. Aaron Platt leaves. Vanessa Garrett Harley comes in. Big three stays in. And y'all remember that big iconic photo that I knew was going to come back and hunt some people. But the mayor's walking up front, and right behind her is that big three. It is Vanessa Garrett Harley, it is Sinceri Harris, it is Tiffany Thurman, and they're right behind the mayor. And this is after they closed that very controversial DC 33 deal. This was the day after, the next morning when the deal was done. The Park administration had their victory lap. I saw that picture. And I said to myself, and y'all remember when I said this, okay? I said, this would come back to hunt them. This would bite them in the ass. That was their moment. And then everything has changed. Close sources has told me that there is rifts in the leadership dynamics between the three of them. Now, let me be very clear. The rift seems to be more of a duo between Thurman and Garrett Harley. They are close. You will see them next to each other. You will see them rock with each other. They're lockstep and key. My observations, that's what I've seen. But it seems like Harris might be iced out a little bit. She seems to be a little bit alone. Close sources and observations seem that a senior member of the administration, Joe Grace, based on my observations as well, seems to be her biggest champion. Now, Joe Grace is the comms director. I feel like, from my observations, Joe Grace aspires to do more. These are people who are outside the Park administration, are close allies that are in the camp of the campaign, have said that they've sensed that Joe Grace has aspirations to be a part of administration in a capacity that doesn't really seem to be focused solely on media and comms. It should be noted that his wife also works for the administration. So does Aaron Platt's wife. She doesn't work for the administration. Aaron Platt's wife does not work for the administration. Let me clarify that. But they're all in the same camp. There's a lot of, Curtis Jones's wife. She works for the administration. Giselle Jones. So there is these relationships that are interwoven and intermixed and intersected. Now, back to the big three dynamic. 2/3 of the big three are very, very close and are lockstep and key. Because there's an order here. I think Tiffany Thurman, as chief of staff, does not like it to look like there's a unilateral equal liberty of power. She wants to make it clear to people that there is no big three. She is Tiffany Thurman, and she is the chief of staff. And there is nothing that happens in this administration that does not go through her.
She is the top dog. She, in many ways, would consider herself, even though she has not said this, but I view it, she's the vice president. President is Sherelle Parker. She's the vice president. The way you would hear it, you would assume that she's the vice president. And why I say this is because when I was looking at the state of the city, her speech was probably the second longest speech than the mayor. And her introduction, bringing the mayor on, it was in many ways like a coronation to me, visibly, politically. Now, this is the deep in the weeds, but it was almost like a coronation of her establishing who she is in this administration and what makes her different than the big three. Because there was a differentiation, there's a ranking now. Clearly, Thurman is the lead, the head honcho, right? Then you have Vanessa Garrett Harley, who does not mind by any means. I think Vanessa Garrett Harley, in my opinion, seems to be the least ambitious in playing the politics. In my opinion, I think she's very clear that she wants to get shit done. I like her a lot. And I do like Tiffany Thurman. Let me be very clear. I do like them. I think they're all good. But I just want to, be on the record to state the dynamics here. I think that she's okay with where she's at in this. However, Sinceri Harris, she seems to be kind of iced out. Her portfolio is not as expansive or as detailed as Garrett Harley and as Thurman. It's very clear that she is the Michelle of group. Let me be quiet. Tiffany Thurman is clearly Beyonce. Vanessa Garrett Harley is clearly Kelly Rowland. And I think Sinceri is the Michelle of the group. Listen, somebody's going to say, why are you pitting these women against each other, Ernest? I am not pitting these women against each other. I am reporting to you all the dynamics and the politics because, listen, Beyonce said that we can all sing lead when she referred to the group, when they took out Farrah and LaToya and all them, okay? But in this dynamic, everybody's not singing lead. Okay? Everybody's not singing lead. Y'all saw Dreamgirls. Y'all seen the dynamic. Y'all know who Dina is. Y'all know what's going on. Y'all know who Effie is. Y'all know who Dina is. Y'all know who Latrell is. I'm not going to tell y'all who Latrell. I'm not going to even tell you who's what in that Dreamgirl mix because that might be its own drama. But if I was Sinceri Harris, I'll be sitting there telling the administration, and I am telling you, I'm not going. You're the best. Listen, the best. Listen. No, there's no way. No, there's no way. I'm not living. I don't know if there's going to be a swan song, but something is going on. Something is going on. And I am watching it. And other people are watching it. And a lot of people pay very close attention to what the press is going to say about this. Because people are noticing it. Y'all not going to put this on me. No. You're not going to say it's all me and I'm being messy. No, I am telling you what I am picking up what people are putting down. If you look at that state of city, who spoke? Vanessa Garrett Harley spoke. She talked about her portfolio. Tiffany Thurman spoke. Chief of Staff, she talked about her portfolio, as they should. But Sinceri, who is literally in the top 3 of senior, got a little video clip. A little 1-minute video montage, I believe. It was really short. I mean, it's like a minute or something. But she was on stage. Something's going on. I could say so much right now, but I'm not. I'm going to wait for some more things to come out. Y'all stand back and stand by. Y'all stay tuned. I'm not going to say everything, but it's going to come out. You know that what's done in the dark comes out in the wild. Y'all know what they say. I will say a metaphor here. Not comparing the ideologies, full disclosure. But I won't say the girls are fighting, but the girls are fighting. Not all of them, but there's something happening over there. And I see things. I observe body language. I was studying body language. I get a sense that Joe Grace wasn't really feeling the State of the Union and the speeches and who was giving speeches. I was noticing that he was looking at his phone when certain people were talking. My spidey sense is that he's not really a fan of all this pomp and circumstance that's happening. I noticed that he wasn't really attentive when Tiffany Thurman was giving her speech. I noticed that Vanessa was right between Tiffany and Sincere. I noticed that there wasn't too much engagement around. Now, there was mentions and shout outs and mentions and speeches, but I noticed that there's something going on. Again, I don't think Vanessa Garrett Harley is playing any of the mess. I think this woman is straight to business. Miss Esquire, she is about that business. I think Tiffany Thurman means well, but I think Tiffany feels, and that's just me just reading the energy of what I'm sensing, that she's got to tighten up and lock in. Something's going on. I just don't know. If I could interview anybody over there in the administration, I really want to interview that chief of staff. I want to interview the mayor. That's my number one, is the mayor. If I ever get there, right? We'll see. But I just really feel like there's some discord. And I don't know. I don't know if that big three is going to stay intact by the end of 2026. I'm making some bold predictions. Because it kind of reminds me of what's going on with MAGA. You're seeing at that Turning Point event where Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, made a, worst of all, Freudian slip around Griff, which was messy as fuck. But there's some infighting with them, right? You got Ben Shapiro throwing shots at Tucker Carlson. Candace Owens is, throwing her shots. Like, there's a lot of fighting amongst these influential people within the movement. But it's eroding, right? And I'm seeing these subtleties. Now, Turning Point, they're showing ass at that conference they just had. But that's the state of the city was pretty much a little bit of this like pitting dynamic. And I just want y'all to just pay attention. Pay attention, because you can't fake the funk. Go up to one of the big three and say big three and see what they say. The mayor still uses the term. The mayor is still saying big three. But I hear the big three don't like to be called the big three. I think there are some people within the big three that don't feel like that accurately demonstrates their efforts. It's like a group project when more people are doing more work than other, and they don't want to feel like no one should get credit. Something's going on. But I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone for now. But y'all stay tuned. Y'all stay tuned on that. Now, my second part of local politics, because I did speak a lot about this. I had one of the best interviews of the year on the record with Isaiah Thomas, council member Isaiah Thomas. We had a really thorough interview. If you want to listen to the latest episode, look at the link in the bio. You can listen to the latest episode. It is streaming on all platforms. But that interview I did with Isaiah Thomas, I really liked it. I really did. It was good. It was good. It was straight, no chaser. We had a really thorough interview. He talked about his relationship with the Parker administration and the communication barriers, and there was some friction. He addressed it head on. He said I was the first person to actually ask him that on the record, like to actually ask him about the relationship. And he I don't want to say he minced his words, but he thought about how to use his words carefully. But it was very interesting to hear him talk about that. We talked about home and in the issues around home and that bill with city council. We asked him why he wasn't at the State of the City event. His answer was kind of like, okay. We had a really good, juicy talk about resigning the run, his policy. He says right now they kind of tabled it, but they said they're going to bring it back early in the year because he wants to get this on the ballot for 2026. So the goal is to really get this out as a referendum for members of the public to vote for it. Y'all, I kept it 100 with him. I told him I think that this is self-serving. I think that this whole situation seems to be really weird. I think that without term limits, the situation is just not going to land with people in the way that they might hope. But I really had a real honest conversation. He gave me some of his thoughts. He thought that my points were fair. We had a very good civil discourse about it. But you know, I'm not sold on it. So he says that they're going to do a lot of work to really communicate these issues, and they're working with the ethics board to really figure out next steps. But right now, it's still a nod for me. And many of the listeners on the show who were chiming in on social media, really engaged, also kind of felt some type of way about it. So we're going to see what Isaiah is going to do on it. But overall, it was a very good interview. I really liked the candidness. I really thought it's definitely worth the replay. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the whole episode, it is available. We got reruns, we got replays. You can go to ernestowens.com. If you look at my website, ernestowens.com, you can find all of the episodes of Ernestly Speaking there on the playlist, and also all of my On the Record episodes as well. So all of that's available. So there's no way that you can't. And I love that we're archiving and we're saving these interviews, these downloads and things, because it's so important to go back on the record. One of my favorite parts of the interview was when I asked him, was he a progressive? Shockingly, Isaiah said, no, he's not a progressive. He says that some of his legislation is progressive, but he says he's pro-black. He says that his pro-blackness counters a lot of some of the progressive agenda. And three major things he brought up was that he says that he differs with them on is on safe injection sites, on the issue of public schools. Like, he does support charter schools. He thinks that there should be a conversation. He does not support vouchers, but he believes in a universe where charter schools and public schools should coexist. Interesting, because people would argue that charter schools eat money from public schools. But, you know, this is him. He just feels like to not even entertain the charter conversation is flawed. I do kind of agree with that. I do think that at this point, Philadelphia public schools are not being up to speed in a way that I do think that what do we do with schools like Boys Latin, other schools like that? Like, there needs to be a conversation about that, because their academic performance, you know, what Dr. Will Hayes, my line brother, who was the CEO of Boys Latin, what he's doing over there is some great work. And there's got to be some conversations about, most of that school is black and brown boys going there, that are doing well, achieving well, going to college. We got to figure out what public schools are lacking in that, and how do we build that model and improve that model so we can have more Boys Latins. Like, you just got to figure that out, y'all. Like, we just can't keep acting like that's not there. So that was a fair point. And he also talked about business community and taxes, with business taxes. He spoke about that, about the business community. He feels like white liberals have tainted the pool on what it means to be progressive. Now, I gave him a new term, and I want to encourage the gospel. I tell people I'm a pragmatic progressive. Maybe he might start to use that term himself. We'll see. But it was very interesting to hear him say that out loud on air. It was a really good interview. Really liked the interview. And you all should definitely listen to it. I think there are some gems that's going to let us understand what's shaping up for Philly politics in 2026. So, stay tuned. Now, to this week's Ask Ernest. I want to take a moment to talk about this. It's a particular theme I've noticed. We got to make individualized accountability a thing. I know that sounds like a very wonky term, individualized accountability. But I think what I've noticed lately, and this was asked in so many different ways, is that how do, we keep hearing in different iterations of society, politics, pop culture, the issues going on with Diddy and all that nonsense. But this conversation where we see revisionist history take place, where people begin to talk about, I was a victim in this, issue. I was a bystander. I didn't know what I didn't know. This was systemic oppression. And everyone likes to talk about all of these individualist things. But I want to reiterate the importance of individualized accountability. That while you might be operating in a system that is problematic, that has their issues, you got to take some level of accountability for the role that you played in it, even if you weren't the ringleader. And I think when I hear conversations a lot now, people oftentimes like to blame their environment solely. I'm not saying that environment does not play a role in certain things that happen. Oh, absolutely it do. But what we're not going to do is solely act like that is the only thing that's causing these behaviors. We have to take some self-responsibility for our actions. Not all of it, but we do need to acknowledge it. And I think what I'm noticing in a lot of conversations, specifically with the Democratic Party, people love to lean into identity and lean into these cultural norms and all this other shit. And that's fine and that's valid. But let's also keep it 100. Even in experiences of marginalization, oppression, everybody's not acting the same. Everyone's not out here being a sellout. Everybody out here is not selling their soul. Everyone else is not out here pimping out their communities. Everyone else is not out here fucking over folks. Like, let's not act like, environment creates cause, right? Look, I grew up in a working class background where it was easily accessible for me to be a drug dealer, easily accessible for me to do other types of situations and things. I made different decisions. Yeah, maybe I didn't get the pair of LeBrons because I didn't really wear Jordans. I wore LeBrons when I was growing up. I didn't get the LeBrons the first week they came out. I didn't get the super flyest outfits immediately. I had to be patient. I had to have some level of self-discipline and respect. I had to recognize that the decisions I made was going to impact other people than just me. A lot of us sat down and had some discipline. A lot of us did not feel entitled to what the other halves had just because we did not have not on time. Now, I always told you all, I didn't necessarily grow up in poverty or anything like that. I wasn't a have not. I was a have not right now at this second. There's a little difference there. I wasn't a have not. I was a have not at this exact moment, which meant that I was a have, but not today. So that's how I describe my upbringing. And I think a lot of times when I think about young people and when I mentor folks, younger adults and teenagers, and sometimes I hear stories about the things that they do, and they will tell me, oh, well, I did that because the kids in the class had this and they had that, and I didn't have that, and so that's why I stole that. I said, hold on now. Hold on. It's one thing to steal food for survival, but it's another thing to shoplift and steal consumer shit, right? It's one thing to say, look, I had to steal this particular thing. Like, it was heartbreaking. I remember these kids. I heard this story, this video a couple of weeks ago of these young kids that went into a Dick's Sporting Goods, I think it was, or some sports shop. And they went into, I think it was Dick's Sporting Goods, but they stole a bunch of supplies. Like right before they were supposed to go to a championship tournament. And it broke my heart. And it was sad because what that told me, right, is that these kids, they do these sports competitions and things because they want an opportunity to get out of whatever environment they're in. They want an economic opportunity, right? They want a college education. They want to go somewhere. And for them to get those supplies, that was an opportunity for them to accurately compete so they can get them one step closer to their dreams. I'm not saying that theft is justifiable, but I understand it. And when I know that there are kids doing things like that because we as a community or our city has failed them, why don't we invest in them? Why don't we invest in these programs? Why we don't have a fund for them? We got all this money for where's that kind of support to help a fund, a grant to give kids? They just need a couple of $100. We're failing these kids. That's different than hearing stories of kids doing, flash mobs and just going up into communities and just taunting people and hitting on people, going into stores and just stealing shit just because they want to look good in school. They look cool. Like, there's two different conversations. And so I have some youth that I talk to and I engage with. that are dealing with the rough side of life in different ways. And one of these mentees that I have, that I talked to, had a situation with shoplifting. And I found out what they were stealing. And I said, why did you steal that? Like, it wasn't medicine. It wasn't food. It wasn't anything like that. Because let's be clear, you know, I'm one Cash App away, right? They were just saying how they get picked on about certain stuff, about how they show up and dress. And I had a real conversation with them. Fortunately, they was able to not get into any major legal trouble, but they could have really jeopardized some things. And they are just, you know, and I said, listen, I told them, I made a commitment to them. I said, listen, if you ever feel the need to do something like that, call me. I don't care where you're at, call me. Now, am I going to just, am I a money tree where I'm going to just give you an iPhone to do something just because? No, because we all want things. Listen, when I was growing up, I had a real conversation with them about this. I said, you know, when I was growing up, there was a lot of times where I didn't have the flyest stuff that other kids had at school all the time. You know, certain kids had certain stuff. It just was ridiculous. Like, my mom was like, I'm not spending $100 for a blah, blah, blah polo from this store. We're going to go to Marshall's and we're going to find it at Marshall's. And I was like, you know what? I can't wear polo black. But I'm like, also, I'm 17. Why do I need to wear polo purple label? Okay. She said that regular Ralph Lauren, you know, that's fine, Ernest. And I learned how to appreciate my circumstances, but also recognize that I was fortunate to even have that. And so what I'm teaching my mentees is gratitude. What I'm teaching them is virtues and values and how to break out of this. Because I will say, though, that the kids in this generation, look at me sound like I'm an unk status now. Look, young unk, okay? What my mentee say? He said I'm a YU, a young unk. A YU. I'll take it. I'm a YU. But what I'm seeing is that, you know, there is a pressure on them. But that pressure been with us. Because even millennials, we had that pressure, okay? But we was having eating disorders and shit. We had a pressure around our body. They got a little bit of that still too, but they got a pressure around consumerism. But we had that too. We had that. Ooh, Gucci Air Force Ones. Remember that? We had pressures. You know, what type of brands, right? Remember when it was Abercrombie, Hollister, American Eagle, you know, there was some trends. We had some pressure. But it's a little different for them because they're getting picked on social media. Like, people are making videos of them. Like, I'm seeing some of the stuff I'm hearing about these schools. It is bad. Like, ban these fucking phones, y'all. I'm sorry, but ban these phones. But we had a real conversation. And, you know, I just said, listen, when you ever feel like that, just call me, right? And that doesn't mean call me to Cash at me for some shit. No. Because listen, I'm a big brother to other brothers. Listen, I got a lot of brothers. But what I said was, I want you to think about the class anxiety, right? And think about what's important. And we had those conversations. But, you know, there is pressure in some ways, especially for these young Black men and women. Like, there's just pressure. And it's a lot of that pressure, you know, the temptation of it all, right? You go into school and people are doing it and you're like, you know, I could easily hit a lick is what they say. But we got to be better. And so I'm building value. I'm teaching him specifically about the value of character and achievement, right? So what I didn't have in, you know, a Louis Vuitton backpack, I had in my grades. Like, I judged my value based on my achievements and my character. Like, I felt good to be able to say, even now, like, listen, I ain't slut shaming anybody, but I love to tell people that I'm proud of the career. I work with dignity. Dignity. We got to bring that back, that I feel good that I make an honest living. I make a dignified living. I didn't have to play the pole position. And I'm not shaming sex workers because sex workers are different. I'm talking about people that's supposed to be earning these jobs through merit, and they out here playing the pole position in different ways that does not require actual sex, labor, and work, but they doing other types of tricks and gimmicks to do it. I am happy that I earn a decent living, a dignified living with respect. And I feel good that I can go to bed at night and know that I made an honest living. And so I'm instilling these values. And I think that is important. Like, we're having the wrong conversations with youth and other people in our circles about accountability, about respect and confidence. And he really said to me, he respect that. Like, he never thought about it that way. Like, you walk in a room and people around you talking about how they stole something, they scammed something, that you can say, you know what? I got in this room, I have to do that. Like, walk with your chest held high, with your head up about who you are and how you want to show up. Because those are the compliments that matter. Those are the letters of recommendations that matter. I have been able to thrive. I told him he respects me. He really do. He respects what I do for a living. Talk about, you a boss, you're this. And I told him, if you want to be a boss and you want to be those things, how you get there is with respect. Respect. People got to know that you're honest. People got to know that you did it the real way, that you didn't have to play any types of positions that would strip you of your dignity and all those things. And so that's what I instill in people. And so individualized accountability is a theme that I'm walking into 2026. And we're going to talk about that in the finale, the season 9 finale next week, about that. Moving along, there's a lot going on with movies. As you all know, Avatar, Fire and Ash was a big hit. The streets are talking. Some people said they didn't think it was as good as the last film, but it came in globally with a $345 million global opening. $385 million global opening. However, domestically, it disappointed, y'all. $88 million domestic opening. Okay? People thought it was going to come in at around $110 to $125 million. Only $88 million. Now, the Avatar franchise has never been front loaded at the box office, which is a good point to make. Avatar generated only $77 million in its opening weekend in 2009 before it went on to make $3 billion globally. So, there were some theatrical headwinds. The fact that it was nearly 3 hours, and it was a less pent-up demand for moviegoers because of the gap. But yeah, but globally, $345 million, not bad globally. This is a decline, from where it was. A lot of people talked about that. But overall, not bad. But there were other films this year that did better than that. Way of Water, which I enjoyed Way of Water, which came out in 2022. I think that's an important thing to note, though. Why was there a difference? Well, because Way of Water was a long-awaited sequel. We have a 3-year gap between this and Fire and Ash. So Avatar fatigue is kind of real slightly. There's a 3-year gap between the 2022 film. But you got to remember that Avatar, the first one, came out in 2009. So it took us 13 years to get to the sequel. So that anticipation was wild, It was wild. And so I do remember that. Now, when Way of Water hit, it came in at $134 million. It was massive. Okay? We're seeing a $50 million decline opening weekend from the past 3 years. The opening weekend was nearly double of what so let me get the numbers right. Opening weekend for the first Avatar in 2009 was $77 million. And of course, it became one of the highest grossing films of all time. But let's keep the scale here. When Avatar Way of Water came, 13 years later, it nearly doubled that opening week number. Nearly doubled, slightly, a little slightly, right? We're now seeing the third film backpedal with a $50 million, nearly $50 million, loss in opening week compared to where Way of Water was. So $444 million globally in 2022 compared to what we just saw with Fire and Ash. Now, one could argue that, hey, you know, this is very telling, you know, compared to other films. I mean, Lilo and Stitch came in at $183 million opening weekend domestically. Lilo and Stitch made nearly over $100 million its opening weekend. Now, some people will say, I mean, it's the biggest Memorial Day opening ever. It surpassed Top Gun Maverick. The 3-day domestic total, however, was $145 million. That was more than what Avatar Way of Water did. And that was in 2005. So even if you wanted to say adjustments, inflation, timing, moviegoers, I don't know. I don't know if we get another Avatar 4, y'all, or 5. I don't know. I don't know if we want another one. I don't know. All this money he spent, I don't know. It's getting a little shaky. I liked it though. I did like it personally. So there's that. Marty Supreme. This is the Timothée Chalamet film with Gwyneth Paltrow. It's coming out this upcoming Christmas. I think y'all gonna love it. I think y'all gonna love Timothée Chalamet in this film. I think he is the best actor frontrunner. I think he's the frontrunner for best actor. He does his big one. He's great. He's really great. He's charming. His character is very complex. It's a very interesting film. Gwyneth Paltrow's in it. A couple other folks in it. Tyler, the Creator, I believe. Oh, I don't know. I ain't gonna tell y'all no more. Other folks are in the film. Very interesting film. Very fun film. Very iconic. I'm gonna talk a little bit about Rob Reiner. Iconic filmmaker. Iconic director. He made the iconic film When Harry Met Sally, which is, people say, is one of his best films of all time. I gotta tell y'all though, Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap. People like that film by him. He was also a famous actor in All in the Family as a progressive brother. I want to say a lot of people talk about his film. Now, my favorite Rob Reiner film, because he has a lot of good films, right? There's so many films by him. When Harry Met Sally is iconic. This is Spinal Tap is another one. The Princess Bride. Oof, The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride is just essential. But my number one film, so if I had a ranking, okay, I'm just going to tell you. My number one film from him is Misery with Kathy Bates. That is my favorite Rob Reiner film, is Misery. I think The Princess Bride is definitely iconic. This is Spinal Tap. Stand By Me is good. People sleep on Stand By Me. That's an oldie, but a goodie. Okay. But, again, I do like Sleepless in Seattle. That's cute. When Harry Met Sally, though, is just iconic. But Misery is my personal number one favorite film by him. Okay? It's a hood classic. Y'all remember that? Kathy Bates was showing her ass. It's got Hitchcock vibes. It's just iconic film. That's my favorite Rob Reiner film, is Misery. But I know it's a very different, Bullets Over Broadway is also very cool too. A lot of good films. He has a lot of good films, a lot of good films. But yeah, a classic. The murder of him and his wife is just tragic. His son is being they were murdered. It's obvious the son did it. The son was dealing with mental health issues, apparently. Apparently he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Apparently the meds were making him also act out. Apparently he got kicked out of a holiday party right before that murder took place. There's a lot going on. This is a time, I think, not just in Hollywood, but really check in with people. This is a holiday season. I just always feel like during the holidays, there's a lot of deaths that unfortunately happen. If we got saran wrap, can we please wrap up Dick Van Dyke, please? Please. Please. Okay, I told you I'll do that with RBG too. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Betty White. We just knew she was going to be 100. And then that didn't happen. Dick Van Dyke is 100. He did make it to 100. But we gotta preserve these people, okay? As much as we can. As much as we can. Yeah. I mean, some, I'm missing some people, right? It's really interesting. This time. I mean, I remember when we lost Sidney Poitier and then Harry Belafonte. It's just so many different legends. James Earl Jones. These men live long lives. So we're gonna, this is a time where just, life is short. A lot of iconic people pass. Lots of things are happening. The Bondi shootings in Australia, tragic. So many lives were taken, over a dozen people, young people, so much. So I say all this to say that just, look at who is legends, and let's give these people their flowers while they're here. Truly. Now, speaking of people that's not getting flowers over here, Melania Trump got a documentary that's coming to theaters on January 30th. I got a chance to see a little bit of a sneak peek. I haven't seen the whole thing at all. It's called Melania. Here we go again, I suppose. This chronicles the first, 20 days of the return to the White House. The documentary trailer is out. Very gripping. This is a multi-million-dollar deal that she has signed. She's got documentary. There was a book that came out last year, as you all know. Okay. Sure. That's how I feel about that. Moving on to music. So Mariah Carey has reclaimed her record again. She has the longest running number one single of all time. All I Want for Christmas Is You was number one. She has now broken her tie that she previously had with Shabuzi and Lil Nas X. She's now surpassed them. It's just her. After they surpassed her One Sweet Day with Boyz II Men, which she had for over several decades. But now All I Want for Christmas is bona fide. It's the number one longest running, number one Billboard hit. That on the Hot 100 sticks like grits. Mariah Carey is still out here doing it. I think she always wanted that record. She wanted to keep that. She's got the longest one, Mariah Carey got them hits that stick like grits. It's impressive. She's broken it. 20 weeks. The record, it's a great song. 20 weeks at number one. She broke her three-way tie that she had. So first it was her. She had the collaboration for 16 weeks, which was One Sweet Day. She had it for 16 weeks at number one. Now that's the number three. She's now surpassed Lil Nas X's Old Town Road, which is 19 weeks, and Shabuzi's A Bar song Tipsy, that was 19 weeks. They tied each other. Now she's got 20. She breaks the record. My girl is in. Hopefully she breaks it one more time, get 21 weeks. Okay, shut them down, okay? Get them, Mariah, okay? The Lambs know what's up. Yeah. It's a moment. It's a moment. She's done it. So we're seeing a moment in time. We're seeing a big moment in time. And it's going to be a big, deal, with things going on. It's going to be a big deal. So we're seeing what's happening there. But shout to Mariah Carey. Shout to the Lambs. Shout to the Lambs. Shout to the Lambs. Moving along. Billboard is making some changes with the charts. This is going to be a big deal. YouTube streaming is out of play. Music videos, all that streaming that used to be used to really prop singles. YouTube music streams are not going to be counted for streaming calculations on the Billboard charts. This is major. This is massive. We might see a situation where we might see people not be on the charts or not chart at number one like they used to, because there is a concern there with charts. It's a real issue that we need to really take some time to talk about. There's an issue going on, with the chart placement. Artists would drop music videos and singles and everything simultaneously because they wanted to juice up the numbers. Now we might see a reduction in music videos. Artists might not even do music videos as much because the whole reason why music videos kept their relevance on YouTube was because it was a part of a streaming juggernaut to really help chart placement for records. Now that we're taking YouTube out of the mix, an artist may not be incentivized anymore to put a budget behind a music video because it's not going to help them with their chart placement. I mean, to some degree, a popular music video can help make promo to make people listen to the single. But if you're listening to that song on YouTube and it's not playing into the streaming, it's kind of weird. But this is the new norm. YouTube streaming is not going to support the streaming numbers to drive the traffic for a single. That's going to hurt people like Cardi B. That's going to hurt people like, Taylor Swift. I say it's going to hurt people like Taylor Swift, but not really. To some extent. But you know what I got to say? Beehive, stand up. Beyonce, ahead of her time. Beyonce has not been given visuals and has been able to chart without a music video for several of her singles. Texas Hold'em, Break My Soul, none of them required music videos, and she's been able to crack into #1 spot for multiple weeks for some cases. So that's good news for the likes of artists like her. But some of these other people who are codependent on videos, helping to drive up their numbers, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for the pop girlies. The pop girls, I think, are going to get hit the hardest by this. So that's interesting. Well, speaking of Beyonce, she has slayed the touring game. She has the highest tour of the year, solo tour of the year. Coldplay, I think, has the highest tour, but solo artist, Beyonce, Cowboy Carter tour, #1, biggest selling tour of the year, easily, hands down. She did her big one. I played a role in that. The Lib Brothers played a role in that. We bought 4 of those tickets, and they were not cheap. People always keep saying, who listens to Beyonce's music like that? Well, listen, clearly everybody, clearly. So that's one for the haters. Now to TV. One thing I want to say, I want to shout out the mid-winter finale of Abbott Elementary, the episode with Taraji P. Henson as Quinta's mom. Very powerful episode, really touching episode, really loved it a lot. Wanted to shout that out, some good TV there. There's been a lot of TV cancellations that's been happening as well. It's been very telling to see these TV cancellations. A lot of good shows are going away. They're not, I'm noticing that there's like a lot of shows that are just not getting second seasons or third seasons. Recently, The Last Frontier, which I wanted to get into, didn't get a chance to watch. They're going away. They're going away quickly. The Netflix show Boots, which is supposed to be that Closeted Marines coming out story before Don't Ask, Don't Tell. A lot of people was mad about that show. It was on Netflix. It only had 1 season. It got canceled. It's no longer. Boots on Netflix, canceled. English Teacher, even though that was a very controversial show for the creator, Brian Jordan Alvarez. Now, that was controversial. English Teacher on FX, which was a decent show. It only had 2 seasons. Got canceled already. Like, shows are not lasting anymore. They're not lasting. Last Frontier, dead on arrival. Like, they're just canceling shows left and right across all the platforms. Now, there's some shows that's been around for a long time. But even, for example, on Hulu, Mid-Century Modern, which I was really feeling with Nathan Lane, that I thought was going to have some good potential, canceled the first season. Like, what is going on, TV? Bel Air, that got canceled. But they had a nice little seasonal run, 4 seasons. Not bad. The Chi got canceled. Not bad. I mean, they've had multiple seasons. Like, The Chi has been on for a long time. Catfish, 9 seasons. But it just feels like a lot of these shows are getting canceled just very quickly. The Goosebumps on Disney Plus, only 2 seasons. The Residents on Netflix, only had 1 season. I thought Shonda Rhimes could keep it going. A lot of these shows are just getting canceled left and right. Like, damn. Suits LA, which I thought was going to be a hit after the rebirth of Suits, got canceled 1 season. Equalizer. Now that's Mr. Johnson's favorite show. That had 5 seasons, okay? Not bad. But Papa's House, another one. I thought would last. Canceled one season. Clean slate. Now, that was a very interesting one. That's on Amazon Prime. That had Laverne Cox and things. That was a Norm Lear show. Also canceled within first season. Y'all just tough crowd. Tough crowd. Y'all want all that Grey's Anatomy, though. Won't stop watching Grey's Anatomy, though. I'm going to leave that there. Y'all love y'all some Law and Order, though. You know, leave that there. You know, but a lot of these shows are just not lasting. I mean, the sex lives of college girls, you know, Renee Rapp was on that show. 3 seasons. Already done so. So I don't know. Tough crowd. But what I will say is that Netflix is still Netflixing. That horrible Jake Paul boxing fight that everybody was hype about where he got his ass kicked. You know, I think there's like a fetish here. Like this white guy likes to get his ass kicked by black and brown men. I don't know what's going on, but it's just this weird thing where this white boy gets the audacity to get his ass kicked every single time. It's just a really weird phenomenon, you know? So very telling. Very, very telling. Jake Paul got his jaw broken by, you know, he got a double broken jaw or some shit like that. After the Anthony Joshua who he fought against. So that was very telling. But, you know, we see. I also want to add that, what's his name? Dave Chappelle had his special. I did not watch it. But, you know, y'all going to keep watching him and, you know, giving this man life. And then y'all want me to believe that y'all are about change. But y'all still giving Dave. That's y'all guilty pleasure. Y'all just love this transphobe, okay? It's just, yeah. He did his little drop. You know, people like him, you know. Okay. All my people, the unstoppable, y'all liked, right? I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna leave it 100 right here with this. A lot of you all like to hype up these shows, and you all, listen, all the people on my timeline I saw hyping up the Dave Chappelle special, I see you. I'm just gonna leave it like that. I see you. Well, this concludes this week's episode of Ernestly Speaking. What am I doing for Christmas? Because a lot of y'all are probably wondering, am I going to be home? I'm going to record? No. Mr. Johnson and I are doing a lovely romantic staycation. We are going to be doing Christmas at the Four Seasons. Yes, we're there for a couple of days. We're going to have a beautiful holiday Four Seasons. There's going to be a lovely feast. There's going to be lots of decorations and festivities. We're going to do a 7 fishes, because I can't talk about 7 fishes. We're going to do 7 fishes at Vernick Fish, which is very fancy, on Christmas Eve. We're going to do a lovely Christmas Day brunch in the Sky Lounge up top. But, you know, we're going to do it real fancy. We're staying there, so it's going to be like our little humble abode. Lovely Christmas trees, lovely spirits. It's going to be a rich bitch Christmas. And then we're going to have lovely Christmas dinner at John George's. Like, I wanted a luxurious Christmas. I always wanted to explore this. I mean, you know, I always go down south, and I love my family. I love everybody. But I just was like, I've been seeing them tease at this for years. And I was like, if there was ever a time to go, especially with all this stuff going on, air flight and travel and all that stuff, I was like, this would be the year to like, just do something different. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And of course, the season finale of Ernestly Speaking, season 9, is next week. Okay. So on the 29th, September 29th, that's the finale. And then we will not come back until January 12th. So don't y'all hit me up going on January 5th, what episode, where you at, what's going on? January 5th, y'all are going to see the new cover art for the new season. So I'm going to drop new promo and all that. You're going to see the brand new cover. You're going to see all that January 5th. That's on a Monday. So letting y'all all know. And happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy, jumpstart to Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. All the holidays. Happy non-holidays. Love you all. Cannot wait for next week's finale. But as always, be well and be... Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram
at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.